Hey everyone, you might recognize me and Eric here from the Nintendo Prime Podcast. I just want to let you know before you get into this segment that this merchandise you see on our shirts and on our cups and on anything else you ever see with Nintendo Prime branding on it, you can get in the description below. You can also get the full audio podcast, not segmented, in the description below. And if you would like early access to our podcast, please go over to patreon.com/Nintendo Prime. For $5 a month, you gain early access to the full audio podcast. And Mr. Eric, what do you get for $20 a month?
Ooh, you get to join us on a podcast.
That is right. So, if you would like to ever be on the Nintendo Prime Podcast, get your voice in front of thousands of other Nintendo fans out there. You know what to do. Hit up that $20 tier on Patreon. Anyways, folks, on to the episode. Hey everyone, welcome back to episode 43 of the Nintendo Prime Podcast. I am your hostess with the mostest, Mr. Nintendo Prime at this point, Nathaniel Rufflejants. And as always, well, always but at one time,
Yep.
Our co-host today is
Mr. Eric Moore.
Now I know some of you guys have been wondering, why haven't you guys had 3 or 4 people lately? We just mentioned this a moment ago to each other. This is the time of the year where it gets difficult because holidays. My daughter, we just had a birthday party for my daughter today that we're recording this, and her birthday is actually not until the following weekend, and she has a kid party then, and plus a real birthday, so whatever. Right. For those who know, we typically record on Thursdays, release on Mondays, but now we're actually recording on a Saturday today to hopefully release on Monday. We'll see how it goes. It's actually gotten a little easier for editing since we don't have 4 separate videos now. The difference is obviously that we do have our own separate editor who edits just the podcast, doesn't edit any other video on the site. And it just takes him a long time to transfer the file back to me. Because usually it's like a 6 to 10 gig file. And I don't know if it's his internet connection or his upload speed. I don't know. But it seems to be even slower than mine for his upload. So it takes him a little bit to get it back to me. So it's up to that, basically, if we get it back. He does a great job editing, though. If you guys love our editing on the podcast, there's a reason. He's a step above what I can do. And I always have to say thank you as well to our editor. I don't mention him a whole lot because he's not asked to be recognized at all. But I do want to give a shout out to him because without him, I would not be able to release as many videos as I do. He realized early on that my content production was struggling because I was spending like 3 or 4 days a week trying to edit this dang podcast together. And he freed up all those days for me to make all the other videos you guys enjoy. So I just want to give him a big shout out and say thank you so much, man, for all that you do. I appreciate it. And I know you also emailed me about the fact that I was looking for an animator and a guy to make a logo, and you said you could do that. So we'll have to talk about that because, I need to get that done so I can get the arguing with myself thing out. Nice. Well, let's just get into the podcast. We have 4 topics. Now, all 4 of these topics are fan topics. For the first time ever, not the first time we've had fan topics, the first time every topic's been a fan topic.
Yeah, you might be right.
2 of the topics comes from our Patreon backers. As always, we will prioritize fan topics from Patreon backers over the normal people on YouTube. That isn't to say that our YouTube people are wonderful and special. Of course you guys are. Right. But we also get like a zillion suggestions from them, and we only really pick 4 topics per week. And our Patreon backers obviously directly are why this podcast happens every week. So we are going to give priority to them. And you don't even have to be a $5 backer because our $5 backing tier is how you become get the podcast early. If you just back for $1, you can also essentially guarantee that we cover your topic unless it's one we've covered before. Right. And there's nothing new to talk about with it. Right. Because we will revisit topics if it's something that has had new information that has come to pass. So this week, oh boy, one topic was kind of sort of picked for us. We were going to talk about the Game Awards. Originally, we were just going to talk about the Game Awards because of the betting special. If you can't tell by his face, it's interesting. But we also had several, Mega Galad, the Derpy Mod channel, and Undernet. They all suggested that we talk about the Game Awards. There's multiple angles to talk about it. First, let's just get straight to the betting special and just get this out of the way. Yeah. I won. Do you want to explain how this happened? Because you were the one that called me. I didn't realize I won.
I know you didn't. Like I said, I shouldn't have said anything, but then I know you would have figured it out anyways. So I had to get my yelling and swearing out of the way. So we're sitting here doing a live stream for the Game Awards, and we're going through the betting special, and we realize they didn't announce one of the awards that a Nintendo game was up for, because that's the only ones we were looking at.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, our betting special was essentially the podcast last week. We went through every award in the Game Awards that Nintendo games were up for, and we predicted a winner. We didn't have to pick a Nintendo game. We just had to pick a winner. So we limited, I think it was 30 awards down to 13 that we were betting.
You mean 29 awards?
30 awards that they were cutting down to 13. And then we had a bonus bit, which is basically an out there projection.
Yes.
Like he was saying, that we would get Pokemon, something Pokemon related in terms of a concept for the game. And I was saying they would unveil Odyssey DLC.
Right.
I did not say Breath of the Wild DLC because I felt like that was too
obvious. Yeah.
I felt like Nintendo keeps saying 20. I didn't want to go too obvious because that's just. I would have slaughtered you then.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I can't go with the obvious. The whole point of the bonus points, and the reason it's
off the wall type
is to
thing.
be off the wall, like what you really want to happen, not what you probably know is going to happen. There's one thing I could have said, because they announced Bayonetta 3. That would have been off the wall because no one thought Bayonetta 3 was happening. Right. Bayonetta 2 didn't sell super well on Wii U. But I didn't say that. No one did. So the bonus points never came into play. Then we had the tiebreaker. And this is the interesting thing, because through the 13 awards, we were tied at the end of the Game Awards, but one of the awards never got announced.
Right. The
award that didn't get announced was multiplayer.
Yep. Best multiplayer.
And there was a bunch of people in the live stream at the time that said, yeah, it got announced. I remember hearing something. Then everyone would say, but it's not you, Nate. PUBG didn't win anything. Well, it turns out the PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds did win Best Multiplayer, and that was my pick to win. But before we get to that, we both, the ones that we got correct, outside of the multiplayer one. Did I even start the multiplayer one on here? I probably didn't.
No, you didn't. No.
So we both got 4 correct total.
Yes. You got 5 correct.
Game of the year, obviously Breath of the Wild. We both picked that to win. It got it. I got best art direction correct.
I did as well.
And so did Eric. So those are the 2 that I think we had the same. The other ones were different.
Yep.
What's the next one that you got correct?
I got best action adventure game and best strategy.
Oh, and what were the winners on those?
Those were best action adventure was Breath of the Wild, and best strategy was Mario & Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Yeah, and see, I had the best action adventure game was Breath of the Wild as well, so I had that one. The one that you had different from me was which one again?
I had the best strategy game.
Okay, yeah, I picked Warhammer 2, he picked Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, Mario plus Rabbids 1. The one that I picked that he did not get right that I did to tie that all up was best audio design. I picked Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, and it won. So, it led to an interesting situation where we were tied. We had 3 picks that we had exactly the same and got right. 1 pick that was different each that we got right. And then it's just, okay, so it goes to tiebreaker. Well, the tiebreaker for us was the college football playoffs. At the time that we recorded, we were actually recording Saturday of Championship Saturday. But we only really knew of one team at that time that was going to make it.
That was Oklahoma.
That was Oklahoma because the game was over, almost over. It was like a blowout at that point. And we knew that Auburn was slightly up at one point, then slightly down, blah, blah, blah. But we didn't really know who was going to win any of the rest of the games. We don't know the order of the teams. So basically, our tiebreaker was going to be pick the 4 teams in the college playoffs. You get a point for all of those 4, and then you get an extra point if you got the spot and the order correct. And reality is I only got 1 team right, and that was Oklahoma. That was a given. Eric got what? 3?
I got 3 teams right and 3 teams in the right spot.
Yeah. So he would have crushed me in the tiebreaker. So essentially, heading out of the Game Awards, I thought I lost. Now, best multiplayer, we knew was not announced then. We tried to figure it out. We went to multiple websites, including the official site. I even tweeted at Jeff Keighley and at the Game Awards to try.
Did you ever get a response about that?
No. But maybe that's why they updated it the next morning.
Maybe.
I don't know. But they didn't have anything on the multiplayer on the site. No one had any. It was the only winner unanimously at all sites that did not have a pick. I went back through the footage the next day, did not hear it mentioned at all. I paid very close attention to just the awards, skipped the trailers. That was never mentioned. So I'm like, okay, so they literally did just forget to mention it during the awards. So at that point, I only had a 1 in 6 chance of being right. Because there were 6 games up for the award. I figured I lost because you had 5 out of 6 chances. Whether you got it right or not doesn't matter as long as I didn't get it right. Because the tiebreaker comes into play and I'm done.
Yeah.
So Eric texts me a little swearing action, and I don't know what's going on. I'm sleeping. I'm not feeling good. So I call him back, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? He's just like, blah, blah, F you.
Yeah.
You bastard.
I'm like, SOB.
I'm like, what is going on? What are you talking about? Like, I literally am oblivious. I just woke up. No idea what's going on. I kept thinking, I'm like, well, did I just get in the playoffs on our fantasy football team over him?
Yeah,
I'm like, but that's not today, is it? No, I don't know what's going on. What could possibly have happened? All of a sudden, you're like, player unknown battlegrounds win best multiplayer. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I beamed because the thing is, I thought I lost all day, and I was out buying groceries for my daughter's birthday party, and I was staring at like the ghost pepper and the mayo and the pickle juice, and I'm like, I'm just preparing my mint. I didn't buy it because I had this feeling that I was gonna win, but I'm like, the feeling was more so desperation because I am gonna buy. I mean, it's Nintendo Prize Biting Special. I will obviously pay for the pepper I already bought the mayo and I already had the pickle juice. So basically, I just have to pick up the pepper and we're good to go. And what happened is because I won, Eric has to eat a ghost pepper and then wash it down with mayo, a mix of mayo, and I'm going easy on him. I picked light mayo. I don't really know if it's easy on the calories. It's not really easy on anything else. Right. And then pickle juice.
I am on a diet, so it's.
I mean, it's a bet. I should care about the diet. I mean, you'll come over here in 2 weeks and eat a whole pizza. So
that's
screw
very
your
true.
diet.
That is also very true.
But I'm being slightly kind because he tried to argue on a technicality that like it didn't get announced during the Game Awards, so it doesn't count. But we never actually put a stipulation in that it had to be announced during the Game Awards.
That is very true.
So we both could argue on technicality. Yeah, but you never said it had to be.
Well, either that or we could both go off the. We both lost then.
I actually had thought if they did not announce the multiplayer winner, that both of us would at least eat the ghost pepper. Just to be like, because we don't know.
Right.
We weren't going to wait forever. If they didn't get, like, even if they gave the result a month from now, maybe there'd be like, okay, the person who didn't do the mayo and pickle juice has to do it now.
Yeah.
But like, I was going to be like, well, I feel like it's only fair because we don't really know. But because we do know I lost a tiebreaker, I would have did. I was preparing to do the whole thing anyways. I was basically just arguing, at least enjoy the heat pain with me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even painful for him. He'll just laugh and enjoy it, and I'll just be like,
yeah.
And for those who don't know, I gave him a little bird finger over here. Oh, an update.
Yeah. No,
nice.
Bucks. Nope, not quite yet.
Oh yeah, I said Bucks game doesn't start yet. So we're big Milwaukee Bucks fans. So
yes,
they play soon here. So it was a long road to get to where we were.
Yeah.
Lots of drama. It was a 4-hour stream for me. He showed up about an hour in, and then the Game Awards itself ran a little long, and then we had a little conversation after as we're trying to figure out who won.
Yeah, right.
Because neither of us, to be clear, neither of us want to do it, and you guys picked the stakes.
A question for you: did they actually announce best fighting game there too, or was that just updated online right away?
No, they announced best fighting game.
Oh, they did. Okay,
yeah. When I re-listened through, they announced.
We just missed it.
Yeah, it was one of those. They rattled it off.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's just. First off, bad on you, Jeff Keighley, for forgetting to make sure that the multiplayer one was even announced.
Right.
Well, whatever. I won.
Yeah.
That makes me the 2-time defending champ.
Yeah.
Suck it.
Yeah.
I can't wait. So we haven't picked the day yet. We're hopefully going to get it done next week if we can squeeze it in. It's going to depend on work schedules and stuff. It's not so much me. It's on him because he's got to show up on a live stream.
Yes.
I live stream Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I don't know if any of those days are going to work for him.
Well, Monday I'll be in Illinois.
Yeah, so.
Wednesday I have Weight Watchers. I mean, unless we do it after that. We could do it later Wednesday night, probably.
Yeah, well, I usually don't stream till like 8 or 9 anyways.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's a possibility.
Okay. So Wednesday is looking like a day he might be doing that live on stream, and we'll still play a game. We'll figure out something. I don't know if we'll play the DLC for Breath of the Wild because I'm probably playing that on Monday. we'll probably maybe we'll play some NBA 2K and continue our season. You guys can watch us beat up on each other, manage our teams, and ask us questions and have a good time.
Yeah.
If he's able to stomach it after he punishes himself.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I almost felt bad that Eric had to do this, and I kept reminding myself, but it was Eric's. I gave Eric the choice. Because, see, I chose what the punishment was going to be last time. It was just something like a wedgie.
Yep.
Worst case scenario, we rip a pair of our underwear.
Yeah,
it's over.
Right.
And maybe we scream like a girl for a second. And the thing that sucked is, while I won that bet, it didn't feel that satisfying because I'm so much shorter than him. I had
forgot about leverage.
I had no leverage to get the underwear high enough. Now, if I had thought ahead of time, I would have sat on my chair and then yanked it up.
Yep.
But I didn't think about that. So he actually kind of got off easy.
I did.
So it almost feels like he deserves this.
Yeah.
It was his idea to let you guys pick the punishment.
Yeah.
And it didn't really feel like he really got punished after the last loss.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing we are missing, and the one thing I thought about doing, remember the old roller chair ball trophy?
Oh, yeah.
I still have that.
Oh, you do?
I'm thinking about repurposing it.
Wait, you do?
Yes.
Why did I not know about this?
And it still has our record of the Gobstoppers against St. Michael's Vanguard.
Yep, St. Michael's Vanguard, yep.
So I thought about repurposing it since roller chair ball is obviously never happening again at this point.
Sad day.
So repurposing it into our glorified championship trophy on the betting special. And I even thought about, this would start in 2018, of course, where we keep track of our betting specials and how many each of us won, and then there's like an ultimate thing that happens at the end of the year.
Okay.
Don't know what.
Okay.
It
again might be a fan.
I have no idea. It's something that we'd have to decide early on what we want it to be. I feel like out of the ceremony of transforming the trophy, we have to recite the Queen of Ching.
Oh yeah.
For those, none of you guys are going to know. For those who don't know, none of you guys are going to know because it's a completely made up thing with roller chair ball. Maybe someday, if you guys ask, we'll throw up like all the rules from roller chair ball, and you'll see the Queen of Ching, and you'll understand. Because if you guys want to start your own roller chair ball leagues, go for it. We can't sanction anything, not our league, but we know everything about it because we basically ran the thing.
Well, we did rewrite.
We dominated.
We literally rewrote the rule book.
Correction. We did not run it. We just dominated that much.
Yeah.
And we got to rewrite the rule book. Well, not rewrite. We got to we put up the rule. Basically, we created our own website. And we typed all the rules in. This is before we could have those fancy apps where you could take pictures and it converts all the text for you.
Yeah, right.
It makes it really easy. It would have been really nice to have
it.
Right.
Man.
But because we had to type it, it meant that both of us had to read through every single rule. And there's a lot of rules for roller chair ball.
There is.
And because we knew all the rules, we had a lot of technicalities that we could get off of, like, oh, technically this isn't a loss, it was an exhibition game, not a league, not a sanction game. No. Go to page 3. Page 3, section 2, rule 5.
Yeah, also, not only was there a lot of rules, there was also a lot of rules added because of us, too.
And not rules that we added, rules that changed because of us abusing the rules that were in place. Because there was ways that they didn't think about, like when they added reverse snowing.
Yes.
Okay? To give you an idea, roller chair ball is a game where you're sitting on office chairs, like much like the ones we're actually sitting on right now.
Actually,
these are basically exactly like the ones we would use. No arms. Literally what we're using. We could actually play with these chairs.
Yeah.
You play in a gym or on a cement floor somewhere. You set up your court. I'm not going to go over how the field is set up, but there's 2 end zones like football, and you're passing around a ball that's made out of a tied-up T-shirt.
Child-sized T-shirt.
Yeah, child-sized T-shirt to be exact.
Yes.
It can be ripped. As we found, most of the T-shirt can be missing. As long as it can be tied up in a ball and thrown, and it's a child-sized T-shirt, you can use it. And there's all these rules, cheeking and all this stuff, but basically it's 2-on-2, trying to score as many touchdowns as you can. It's a 15 points, I believe, and 21 to win. 15 was halftime.
Yep, 15 was halftime.
21 for
2.5 points for a touchdown.
Yeah, 2.5 points for a touchdown. And 21 was game over. First 21.
Yep.
And I think did you have to win by 2 scores, I believe?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember someone passed
overtime,
that.
Yeah,
it went to overtime because you had to win by 2 scores. That's actually what happened in one of our, when we were playing for the Ultimate Championship when you went to overtime. But anyways, I'm still mad that we lost.
There's a point. Just bear with us. There's a point to this.
A lot of rules. Okay, so 2 of the rules in this were snowing and reverse snowing. Snowing is very, very simple. It's eating during the match. Yep. Eating or drinking. That's right. When you are in the middle of a roller chair ball match, you cannot drink anything. No water, no soda, no juice, no nothing. So you're getting exhausted out on the court. You better slow down, buddy.
Yep.
Or you better pass out. You better stay hydrated between matches.
Yep.
And the average match we had some that went a while. If they went in the OT, they could go a little while. And it got really intense. I could have used a drink during the match against the other team that had like never lost. When we played a team from out of state that were the
originals.
They're like the OG.
They were founding fathers.
Yeah, they were the founding fathers, which are the founding. If you know anything about American history and founded the country, these are the people that founded the game.
5 of them,
and there's 5 total. And this was the first time we've been introduced that you could have a team of 3. Didn't even know it, but apparently you could. It technically didn't say anything about it in the rule books that you couldn't have a team of 3 with road. We had never known that. Now, is there anyone I would have added to my team? I don't know. Maybe I would have subbed in Pat for goal line plays. Yeah, because he's a hell of a beast in the goal line situation, as we know going up against him many times. He was one of our number 1 rival teams that had Pat and one of the founding fathers together. Anyway, so. The snowing is eating or drinking anything during the match. Can't do it. Can't happen. It can't happen at halftime. Can't happen at all. Nope. And yes, there is a halftime show if people are curious. Yep. Always a halftime show. Always a post-game interview. Yep. Just like the NFL, baby. Yep. But it's the reverse snowing. This is the rule change that happened because of me. Yep. So... Reverse snowing is basically crapping your pants during a match. It is because you can't go to the bathroom during a match. You're not allowed to go potty. So what happens as well with the reverse snowing, you would think, oh, it's going to be a penalty, right? You crapped your pants. No, actually, if you reverse snow, it's an automatic win. Yep. Because reverse snowing, you are rewarded for crapping your pants, being unwilling to
leave yourself or leave your chair.
Leave your chair to relieve yourself. For the being and on top of that, for crapping yourself, they take your undergarments that have crap in them, freeze them, and put them in the Hall of Fame. This is a real thing. I really stuck my underwear that I crapped in the freezer at my house until Mike could send it off to
Ohio
in a cooler to Ohio to where they had the Hall of Fame for roller chair ball. I don't know if that Hall of Fame is an actual real place, but they really did take my boxers and really did ship them off and really did send me a letter in the mail with a picture saying in the Hall of Fame. Nice. But here's the thing. I was the only person to ever do it. Yep. And the reason I did it wasn't because one of those, like, oh, I had the runs and I just couldn't hold it. Like that I think that's why they put the rule in there is basically if someone, has it happen by accident. We should reward it. It's embarrassing. Let's reward them at the win. No. No. So Eric and I at the time, him and I as the team Gobstoppers were undefeated. Yep. Undefeated. Mm-hmm. We had won a ton of games. But Eric couldn't make it that night. I don't remember why.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
Couldn't make it. Mm-hmm. So I was playing and I won a couple matches and I'm like, okay, but with some other random people. And I decided to register a team so it would be sanctioned with I forgot his name. It's Chris Cochran's little brother. Yep. One of our friends and his little brother, who I'd seen playing a few times, and he was okay, but it was more so I was just confident. I personally was that much better than the other team. Yeah. Combined that I figured I can almost beat them by myself. So of course I was cocky. Yeah. I thought I could just 1-on-2. I didn't really need my partner. All I needed him to do is catch one once in a great while. Right. And he has stone hands, so it literally was once in a great while. Because here's the thing, in road show, the ball's always in play until it goes out of bounds. Yep. So even if you don't catch it,
or you're tapped out.
Yeah, if you don't catch it, and it's on the ground, it's in play. It's live. It's a fumble. Yep. So, and trust me, it gets dangerous when those wheels are on and you're reaching for it and trying to cheek, and it gets crazy. There was plenty of fingers that got ran over. Oh, yeah. But no one ever lost a finger that I'm aware of.
Yeah, no.
I'm pretty sure the game wouldn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
But anyway, so as this is all going on, I'm getting crushed. Mm-hmm. This team I'm playing against, we were playing up in the cafeteria area, which is different than the basement area, because we almost lost to the one team that was throwing it off the back wall in the basement area, because the fields are all different based on what's around, and if the back area ends up being in play, it's in play, and it was in play, and they're bouncing off the wall, and it went over my head because I'm short, and it was just crazy. It was actually a really hard strategy to stop for us at the time. But this game, they were just better. Yep. I could not 1v2 them. I tried to bait him in the throws. It just wasn't working. My partner... I mean no offense to him, but he was bad. He might be the worst roller chair ball player in the world.
No.
Who was worse?
Oh, there was a lot of people that were worse.
Okay, well, I don't know. All I remember is he was pretty bad. I mean, we were facing a team that was really good, but it's a team that Eric and I had crushed 7. But the thing is, I'm like, it doesn't mean I'm just not as good or that Eric's just that good. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure. But all I know is that Eric and I together were like thunder and lightning, baby.
Well, it does help when we can pretty much just send eye signals and we know pretty much exactly what the other
at one point
thinking.
we had playbooks on our wristbands. We used it for a little while. Then we realized, you know what? We know what we want to do every play without even talking.
Yeah, right.
Why give it away? They're going to figure it out eventually because we weren't changing the signals every week.
No.
So we're just like, whatever. We know what we want to do.
Yeah.
The only time we would ever call it a play was TTS.
Yeah.
And the thing is, everyone knew what TTS was. No one figured out how to stop it.
Nope.
The only people that came close were when we played a team from Ohio. They broke it up for a second, and then we recovered, and it worked. But
and we actually broke down one of their unstoppable plays.
We broke down their play. They had never been stopped on. They ended up scoring on it anyways, but it wasn't because of the play.
Right.
It turned into just a normal scramble play, which happens on almost every play. Because not very many teams had scripted plays. It was almost always scramble plays. It was, you just go deep and I'll throw it. And we actually had real plays, and that's probably why we ended up being so good and facing off against the team because we took it seriously. Yeah. We wanted to be good. It was our sport.
There was how many nights afterwards that we'd spend a half hour, 45 minutes just talking.
Strategizing.
Strategy.
We're like, man, anytime there was a close game, we would do it. Because we don't want close games.
No.
And then the Pat and Mike team actually were decent. They weren't better than us, but they were able
to beat us every once in a while.
Capable of beating us once in a while. Mm-hmm. Anyways, so the rule got changed after I reverse snowed. Because I wanted to maintain my perfect record because I said I'm not losing my perfect record without Eric here. Mm-hmm. If we're going to lose our perfect record, it's going to be together.
Yep.
But I'm like, I can't weasel my way out of it. I knew the rule book. I filled out the paperwork.
Yep.
If I didn't fill out the paperwork, I would not have cared. Because then it's an exhibition game. And I lost exhibition games before when I played. Like, every other game I played with anyone but Eric was basically an exhibition game. I never became a team with anybody else. But here I'm like, they told me they wouldn't play me unless it was a sanction. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. I think I can win.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't going to win. We were getting crushed. It was like 18-5 or something. It was whatever. Add 2.5 up. They were like a score away from winning. So I think it would have been 18.5. Mm-hmm. They were a score away from winning, and I'm panicking, and I'm just running through like, what can I make from it? Because there's no way heck we're coming back. If I had Eric on my team, I still don't think we would have came back from it, but at least we could have made it interesting. Maybe we could have got it the 15 before they scored again.
Right.
But I kept thinking in my head, what can I do? I'm just rattling through all the rules in my head. I'm like, what technicality can I get off on? What technicality can I get off on? I'm like,
I can crap myself.
That's a free win.
Yeah.
So then I'm just like, all right. So they call time out for a second, and they're just sitting over there figuring out, how they want to showboat on me for the win. And I just sit there. I'm like, thank God. Well, I think I have a streak, baby. I think I did it. Ref! Pretty sure I just reverse snowed. Yeah. And no one believed me.
Yep.
No one believed me.
Yep.
So, like, well, they'll order the check if you reverse snowed. It's gross. So
right.
You have to go, that you are allowed to go into the bathroom and take off your underwear, come back out with your pants on, obviously. And they prove that you reverse snowed. Now, there was a controversy at the time because people thought I didn't actually do it in the chair, that I went in the bathroom and wiped it on. Mm-hmm. And I said, that's a very, very good thing that you might think I did because that assumes that I'm cheating. But let me ask you, have I ever cheated?
Yeah.
I might bend the rules. I never break the rules.
Right.
So, and I actually did crap my pants. Like, legit crap. Yes. Like I had to wipe stuff off my ass. It was gross. Okay. It was one of the most disgusting things I ever did. That chair had to be sanitized. It was not good. So, I won, though. And ever since then, they changed the rule. Reverse snowing no longer allowed. If it happens, you
win the game, but I think if you can never do it again. If you do it again, I think you're banished.
Yeah, it's you still win the game the first time because they weren't. Again, the rule probably existed for people who just accidentally it happened to,
right? Or
they farted and it ended up being a shark or something. Yeah. It was just that there was an accidental thing, but like because of me doing it on purpose, which they never thought someone would do it on purpose. Because it did not say in the rule book you couldn't do it on purpose.
Yes.
So That's all really how they changed it. They could
Yeah.
have just changed it, but they said, no, you can do it one time.
Yep.
Because what are we going to do? One guy just did it one, we can't get rid of it.
Right.
But if you do it again, you're banned from the league forever.
Yes.
That, it was basically the Nate rule.
Yeah. Yep.
Don't ever reverse snow again, Nate, or you're done. We never want to see that stuff again. Anyways.
Oh, goodness.
So yeah, that kind of goes back to all our technicalities and all of our betting and all of our competitive spirit. So that trophy from that era of our lives against St. Michael's Vanguard, because that's who we had the trophy against, since they were the only team that were. There was one other team, like I said, the one that was throwing off the walls. They were actually pretty good. They had some speed,
but then they kind of just disappeared.
The one guy kept coming, and then the other guy stopped, and that kind of broke up the team. I actually thought that might be another team that could challenge us, but it really was St. Michael's Vanguard. And I think I looked at the trophy. We were still up on them by like 6 games at one point. We won like 90-something games. At one point, we were like 90-0. We were going for like the first ever team to be 100-0.
Yeah.
Because even the team from Ohio had not played 100 matches.
Yeah.
We're like, we're about to be 100-0, and then we finally lost to St. Michael's Vanguard. And I'm like, and then we couldn't argue our way out of it, but we're like, hey, look, look at our record.
Yeah.
Like 90-1.
Right. Yeah, I think I still don't know if we actually technically lost.
Do we need to prove anything?
I don't know if we technically even lost. I think we were under 15 losses, sanctioned losses. Yeah, and all of them, but like 2 were to St. Michael's Vanguard, if I remember right. And one of them was to the team from Ohio, which we unfortunately never got to rematch. In our prime, today we would get crushed. Well, I don't know. It depends on what shape they're in. Yeah. But, I mean, as was proven when we tried to come back a few years later, we lost, and we didn't play again. Yeah. Because we realized we're way out of shape. Yeah. And these young little teenagers are just running circles around us. Yeah. That's cool. Our prime's beyond us. Yep. We passed the torch. Yep. But you don't understand how serious we were about this, guys. We had team shirts. Oh, yeah. We painted our chairs and had logos on them. It was crazy. We're teenagers and we're like, dude, we're balling out. Oh, yeah. We're like NFL players. We're rock stars. We spray painted our bicycle helmets. Yeah. So that all gets back to the betting stuff. This is why this betting special is so special to me between us too. Yeah. Because while it's us competing against each other instead of like us two teaming up against 2 other people, which can happen in a betting special. Yeah. It's possible next year we could have that happen. It would probably be where Eric and I split up and we happen to have somebody else on our team. So our betting specials are against each other. But whatever, like you have 5J on your team and I get like Game Over Jesse on my team or something like that. I don't know what betting special that would be for. Maybe an E3. Maybe we could step up for E3 game next year. Make it crazy. Or we go Easy Ally style where you come up with some questions that have like either or answers. I come up with questions of either or answers. Then we gather a panel of people and we get to ask our question to them and they answer it and we get a point or you get a point based on what happens. Like if they answer it, because how Easy Allies does it is, okay, I'm going to ask you, will Zelda make an appearance at E3? Yeah. And you're just like, no. Mm-hmm. Okay. If you're on my team, if that answer is correct, I get a point. But if it's wrong, the other team gets a point. Okay. That's kind of how it went. Okay. That's how they do it. It actually but they have a team of like 8 people. Right. So it's a lot easier for them. But it's something I thought about doing because I just think it's cool. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we can move on to what probably people wanted us to talk about with the Game Awards. Yeah. That's the actual awards. Yeah. Were there any awards Nintendo didn't win that surprised you? Because again, they were up for 13. Right. The only one that I could probably make a big fuss about is probably music. Because Breath of the Wild's music is absolutely fantastic, and it actually has a symphony with it. So, or symphony playing. Was it Persona 5 who won that one? I don't remember who won that one. I thought it was Persona 5 who won. It could have been Nier 2. It was one of those two. Yeah, because it wasn't Cuphead or Destiny 2. Oh, it wasn't Cuphead, was it? Might have been. They won Best Art Direction. And I thought they won, but it might have been Best. No, it wasn't Best Audio. Yeah, maybe they won Best Score and Music because of the music tied to that. Mm-hmm. Anyways, the point is that obviously Breath of the Wild had a fantastic soundtrack. I thought Odyssey had it. Both of us were wrong. I think the one that surprised me was that Monument Valley 2 beat out Super Mario Run and Fire Emblem Heroes. And this is nothing against Monument Valley 2, but I checked it out after it won. That's a lot like Monument Valley 1. It's a good game. Mm-hmm. But there is no other Super Mario Run. There is no other Fire Emblem Heroes. Right. So it was kind of one of those,
it's a really great game, but it's a little iterative.
Yeah.
Which happens with Mario games. But since this is the only Mario game on the platform, I thought for sure Super Mario Run was the best game that came out in the past year on mobile phones. Fire Emblem Heroes, I can understand getting a vote as well. But
that's where I went.
But, you know, it is what it is. Nintendo wasn't going to win them all. That's just the way it is. It would be a little unfair to every game out there if Nintendo won all 13 awards it was up for. It's like, Nintendo's great, but come on, Breath of the Wild and Odyssey are amazing games, but they shouldn't win every category they're in. Because a lot of the awards were one of those games up. Specifically, Breath of the Wild was up for a ton of awards. So, Breath of the Wild won Game of the Year. We talked a bit about why we thought it was deserving in the pre-show and the podcast last week.
It honestly wasn't all that big of a surprise.
It really wasn't. It kind of, the only thing that was a little shocking is right before the Game of the Year, they did like one more thing with the orchestra.
Yep.
And the longest segment they did with that was Jump Up Superstar.
Right.
And prior, when the orchestra played, the longest segment from that was the one who won the next award. So we're like, oh, maybe it's a hint here. Odyssey won.
Yeah.
Because I kept thinking, Odyssey hadn't really done much, right? And I'm like, Breath of the Wild already got Best Action Adventure Game earlier in the night. And some other award, I thought.
Did Odyssey even win a award?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I think it won one of the really small category awards.
No, I don't.
Well, these are my picks. These are
right.
Oh,
yeah, true.
So,
right.
I think Odyssey won Best Family Game. I believe it was. Yeah, Odyssey ran away Best Family Game.
Yep.
And it was a bit surprising because Odyssey being 1 point, it fell to a 96 instead of a 97. It was still the second highest rated game of the whole year. How did it only win one award? Well, because Breath of the Wild was in a lot of the same categories and was 1 point higher. So Breath of the Wild, by default, won 3 of the awards that Odyssey could have won.
Right.
But I almost felt like they were going to give it to Odyssey just because, look, Breath of the Wild won Best Action Adventure Game, and it won one other thing. I can't remember what it was.
Right.
And so it's like, Breath of the Wild won 2 awards. Let's give Odyssey some due. But at the same time, how can you give Odyssey Game of the Year when in the only other category they're together, which is Best Action Adventure Game, you gave it to Breath of the Wild? How can Breath of the Wild be the Best Action Adventure Game, but Odyssey's the Game of the Year?
Right.
If in its own genre, per se, Breath of the Wild was better. So it was kind of a given that, at least between Breath of the Wild and Odyssey, Breath of the Wild would probably be the favorite game. I thought it was interesting that PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds was even up for the award considering it was in beta, and there was a lot of debate over if a game in beta should be up for it. But then again, you can buy it. Then again, by the time the Game Awards came around, it had 24 million players.
Yeah,
it's really hard to ignore.
Yeah,
it's a rare case when it's in beta, but people are paying money for it and they love it. And it's about to be out of beta. It's about to launch on Xbox. So I don't know. I guess it was expected. It wasn't there was no, it wasn't climatic, I guess. I felt like usually Game of the Year award is something that
is probably very, very close between.
Yeah. Well, what I feel like they should do for Game of the Year is, I know that they had the really cool orchestra thing, and that was great, is maybe have some videos up, maybe even before the Game Awards, where you have a person in the media or Jeff Keighley himself make a legit argument for each of the games. And then all of a sudden you see which one of those videos gets the most upvotes, which one of those videos has the most views, and then people start thinking, oh, that's the game that's going to win, and that could add some more intrigue and drama to the awards, because I feel like everybody thought Breath of the Wild was going to win coming in. But it would have been nice to see Odyssey suddenly get some hype, or Horizon, or just something. I feel like it has this really strong push, because the only thing they let fans do is do a fan vote, and the fan vote's private. You don't get to see the results of the fan vote. So there's nothing out there being like, oh, let's look at what's more popular. Is Breath of the Wild really more popular than Horizon? We don't know.
Right. And I mean, you could still keep the fan vote, under wraps.
Yeah.
But it just.
But if you have the videos, you have the views, and you have the likes and all that stuff, and that would really, at least, it's not voting, but it would give people an idea that, oh man, Breath of the Wild seems like the shoe-in, but did you see PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds argument? They got 5 million views compared to Breath of the Wild 1 million. Like, maybe that's really going to take it.
Yeah. That's not a terrible idea.
I don't know. I have a lot of suggestions for Jeff Keighley. on ways to improve the show. I got to say, this was the best Game Awards so far.
Yeah, hit us up for ideas, please.
Well, tell me. I mean, speaking of the Game Awards, is there anything they did during the Game Awards you would like them to do better next time?
Again, not glossing over a lot of these awards. I understand time constraints and stuff like that.
Well, what would you do? He was trying to get he had said before the show he wanted it to be 2 hours. It ran about 2.5.
Right.
Wasn't really his fault. There were certain things that ran longer. Certain things that ran longer than they should have. Again, not his fault. Based on the time slots he had, he had everything down pretty well. He did a really good job hosting, especially when you have certain things not going like he wanted to, but he kind of reined it all in and made it work. Right. What would you do differently? Because it's 30 awards.
Right.
There's multiple ways you can handle it, but 30 awards. A lot of people think 3 hours is too long. Some people think 2 hours is too long, but if they have enough interesting stuff, 2 hours can be okay.
Right.
So how would you... Because I think ideally all of us want all on-stage presentations.
Well, right. And I understand that you probably can't with 30 things. But I would... Gosh. I mean, you'd almost have to put out a separate video, at least, giving props to at least all of the... Because with some of these that they just kind of glossed over, I want to say that's how I'm going to put it, but it might not be their intent. You didn't even know, if you didn't look on their website, you didn't even know the other contestants for that award. You just found out who won. So you're not really giving props to even all the people who all
the people who were up for the award. Yeah, and, I mean, all the ones on the that they handed on the stage, they had a little presentation for each game. So even if it didn't win, it at least got recognized,
right,
for being up for the award. We talked about this during the awards because we noticed that happening. It's been a consistent issue with the awards all 4 years, and the awards they just keep adding more, so it's not getting better. Because the obvious answer is just don't have so many of the awards. Cut down 30 to 15. The problem is, when you get into that, you can start to ignore some things. Like, should we ignore esports? Esports is huge, and it's got like 3 different awards.
Right.
Should we ignore that? Should we really cut out, the whatever that award was, that the Ultimate Gamer Award or whatever?
Yeah.
Should we really cut that out? Even when there's been, it wasn't so much this year that it was a big deal, but we've seen speeches in the past from people who were duly because it's one of the few ones that's 100% voted on by fans. So, like, literally a duly elected representative of the fans. Do we really want to cut out that award when they could, really represent gaming on the whole for the fan side of things? Right. Do you want to cut out the esports? Do you want to cut out the mobile stuff? And a lot of people, of course, you got to cut out mobile, but I mean, should we be? No, I think mobile, like handheld phone gaming needs to be recognized. It is part of the industry. It's a massive part of the industry. It drives more revenue streams than all of the other console stuff. Right. So you can't ignore that. It is the reason the industry is as big as it is.
I mean, outside of, having an award show for, like, the separate things like mobile award show, the esports award show.
Well, I feel like we are... Because think about what one of the awards was. Best handheld game.
Right.
It was basically all 3DS games. Well, it was literally all 3DS games. And it made me realize that this isn't really best handheld. It's best 3DS game.
Right.
You're not going to... You just get rid of the category.
Right.
Lump... Like, that's one that I know should be reduced. It should be best handheld game or best mobile game, and it should be combined the categories.
Yes. Because technically a mobile and handheld should theoretically...
And when you're just talking about... It's basically just best game on a single platform.
Right.
I mean... What's the point of even having the award? I understand for a Nintendo site to have a best 3DS game, best Switch game, but like not for an award show that encompasses the whole industry, especially now. And it gets confusing because of Switch. Switch is portable, but it has console quality games, blah, blah, blah. But and that's another thing. Like, that category might just vanish altogether, anyways, just because it is a 3DS only category, and there's not really 3DS games coming out anymore. You don't really need to have that category.
Right.
But that's just one. That's 1 out of 30. That's not going to solve the problem, because they probably come up with a new category to replace it with. So we talked about this during the show. I feel like the best way to solve this is give up on trying to present 30 awards during the show. Just give up on it. Say you pick 10. Or not 10. 15, I think, is the number ideally they can present on stage.
Yep.
But let's go with 20 and allow them to announce 5 of them in the pre-show or something.
Right.
Maybe that's where they announce the best mobile game, best fighting game. Some of the categories that aren't as popular, but still, like best fighting game is a whole genre of gaming. So you might want to give that some recognitions, but you might not want to give it full stage time. So you do it in the pre-show where you have the people come up and they give their speech.
Right.
So I think what I would do is take 10 of the awards. Don't get rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to allow the voting on the awards for those games to happen a little sooner.
Right.
And then cut it off sooner. It'd be the same time frame. Like, it'd be the same amount of time to vote for it for the fans. And I know that puts more pressure on Jeff to get this stuff done. But then you make individual videos for each one of those that do like a 10-day lead up to the Game Awards.
Right. Where
each day you're releasing a video
for an award
that is basically like a presentation. And I know it's all pre-recorded. I know that gets rid of some of the live presentation. But one, it gives each of the games in those categories recognition because it's an individual video just about that category. Right. And, the people that win still get to say what they want to say. Is it as good as live and on the spot? Of course not, because it's going to be pre-recorded and they're going to have time to practice it and whatever they submit for it. But it gives individual attention to the award that's a lot better than a throwaway mention.
Actually, they could actually almost make that, have them, basically the five or six games, have the people that are representing them either Skype in or something like that, and then presented that way. So the reactions are all live.
Live on there, and it's not pre-scripted.
Right.
Not a pre-scripted reaction. Yeah. It's just one of those things that I feel like if they did that, 1, those individual awards get the attention they deserve. 2, they don't take up time during the show. 3, it builds up hype towards the show. Because imagine, like, Breath of the Wild won 3 awards. What if 2 of those awards were announced before the show, so you really had no idea?
Right.
It goes the whole show, and you're like, Breath of the Wild didn't win anything.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, right.
Well, it's got to win Game of the Year then, or is it not going to win Game of the Year? Because that's the thing. Like, it builds up that anticipation and hype as well. Because now, like Breath of the Wild, you won this award. Oh, and it won Best Art Direction, and it won this, and it's like, and okay, who are the other nominees for that?
Right. No, and I think when they did the and it won this and it won that was if they had won it earlier in the show, just kind of a recap of they also won this.
They've been doing this every year. What happens is, if a game wins multiple awards, besides Game of the Year, when they get their first award announced for them, they will group in all the other awards they won so they don't have to come back upstage multiple times to get speeches. Obviously, the difference was here, the Hellblade Award, because the female that did all the acting for it, that isn't even an actor...
actress,
they're just insane. She's a video editor, never done this before. Won Best Actor or Actress in video games. Like, insane. Never done it before. And that was different because that was an individual person award, not a game award. Right. I mean, it was a game award. It was an award for your performance in gaming.
Because Cuphead came up a couple times.
Yeah, but Cuphead came up...
But they didn't announce... No, Cuphead was on stage a couple times.
Were they on stage twice? Oh, yeah, they were on stage. That was weird. That's weird then, because Breath of the Wild, they only had him... They had... Well, he was on stage twice because it won Game of the Year.
Right.
But really, they had... How Nintendo did that is they had the one guy go up on stage first, the director, to accept the one award, and then Eiji Anomo came up for Game of the Year. And with the other guy. So, Fubiashi or whoever. So, it's an interesting thing. I guess you're right. I remember Cuphead going up twice. And I kept thinking that was weird. Because Breath of the Wild, like when Breath of the Wild went up to the first award, they said, oh, and it won this. And they did that with some of the other games too. So I don't know why Cuphead got special attention.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe because they just really love Cuphead.
I could swear it was just the second time they won. If they won a second time, they were also recapping as they came up to stage. I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
That's weird, though. Because Zelda won 3 awards, but only won on stage twice.
What else did it win?
I don't remember. Because we didn't actually mark down who won what award.
Right.
So I'm like going through trying to remember which one it won.
I thought it only won 2.
Let me see. It wasn't Best Score in Music.
Oh, no?
It wasn't... I don't know. Maybe it only won 2.
I think it only won the 2.
I don't remember. Anyways, the point is that they could do
well,
this
we did our whole research on this.
So like you have your 10 videos leading up.
Right.
I feel like it gives individual attention to this stuff, builds up hype, and then you get to the awards, and every award is on stage.
Right.
Now you can have, if you want 20 then I feel like you need to announce 5 in that first half hour show. And I know that might seem like a lot to fit in a half hour, but it's a pre-show, so it's going to have less preamble. You should have less world premieres in your pre-show. Well, you should start off, I think, because he had 13
honestly,
world premieres.
That pre-show it seems pointless.
The pre-show is the show. Let's just be honest.
Right. It's not really a pre-show.
It's the show. But I think the reason they call it the pre-show is just because that beginning part, when he sat down with Kyle Bossman, and they just talked about the industry and talked about Game Awards. And I feel like that's a really important conversation. I ignored a lot of it the first time around. The second time around I listened, I'm like, oh yeah, this is really good.
Yeah.
I feel like that's important, and that I can understand being a pre-show. And I also felt like, I've said this in years past, there's a pre-show every time. I feel like the pre-show should, again, be because it's pre-recorded anyway. It's very clearly pre-recorded. So they should just, if it's pre-recorded, just release it the morning of the Game Awards. And let people watch it as like the build-up. Join us tonight. And at the end,
exactly.
For all the live on-stage Game Awards.
Right.
And they could, and I feel like then, so you have the 10 build-up to the day. The day of, you have the pre-show that hands out 5 more.
Right. And then those would be pre-recorded too.
Those would be pre-recorded, but that would include some of the preamble with Kyle Bossman, or maybe 2 premieres. Maybe throw in a couple trailers.
Right. Because I mean, it was the pre-show is basically just them talking.
Because that's why you step up the game. You have individual attention on them. You get to the half-hour one, because the individual attention ones are probably only going to be like 3 to 4 minutes long on each one.
Right.
But then you get to the half-hour one, you get 5, and then you also get 2 trailers and a little conversation, whether about the Game Awards or whatever.
Right.
And that's going to build up huge hype for, oh my god, did you see what they unveiled there? Did you see who won these awards? Man, it's going to be crazy tonight. If that's what they put in the pre-show, what the heck is in the real thing?
Right.
And then everything needs to be on stage. And if it's not on stage, it needs to be on that side stage then.
Well, right.
But whatever.
But make sure you're always giving credit always announcing everybody that was at least up for the
giving
award.
them equal, at the actual show, whatever awards they hand out need to be treated equally.
Right.
I understand Game of the Year is always going to be that extra special. And that's fine, because that's the ultimate prize. That's what everyone wants. Forget all the other awards. Everyone wants Game of the Year.
But at least gave time in the music and the orchestra to all of the games that were up for the award.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things that I like the improvements he's made. The big improvement he made this year was the advertising. Last year it started to feel a bit like one of those strange Microsoft press conferences where they go off into the back room and have all this, oh yeah, look at what we're playing back here, blah, 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 even though it's clearly just a sponsor spot and you're trying to sound all cool. And is lame as heck and not representative of gaming at all. And they had one of those kind of things this year, but the difference was what they had this year was actually giving you game deals to buy stuff.
Right.
The 5 eBay deals, I think it was.
Right. Yep. And those weren't necessarily games, but they did have.
They weren't. But it wasn't like this backroom thing. It was, hey, every once in a while, 5 times per night, we're going to throw this chick out there who's going to be like, hey, look, right now you can go get the Xbox One S for $189 on that, which was a Black Friday deal, but now it's available now on eBay.
Right.
Or you could go get this now on eBay.
And then we had each
get 50% off on this.
I think we had each one of the major, like Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo each had, I think, a game deal for the night too. That came up.
Yep, and they said the eShop deal. They didn't say what games. They said go check the eShop. There are deals. I don't even know what the deals were. I didn't check it. But there were deals on all of the available, whether it was Steam, Xbox Live, PlayStation Network, or even the eShop. Yes, on Switch, the eShop, they had a sale on something.
Right.
So I like that. I like that he condensed down a lot of the fluff advertising to commercial spots. And the commercial spots were, outside of 2 movie segments, were 100% video game trailers.
Yes.
And commercial. Video game commercials.
Actual commercials. Yeah.
Video game commercials or video game trailers. And these would be paid spots. So like when you saw all the Switch commercials, Nintendo paid for those spots. When you saw the PlayStation ones out, PlayStation paid for it. And what's nice about that is we have to understand that running the show that's like the size of the Oscars for the video game is expensive.
Oh, yeah.
And Jeff Keighley started off paying for this all by himself, and he said, okay, it was a success, but if we want to make this what I want it to be, I can't just keep paying out of pocket. He's losing money on it.
Yeah.
So that's where the sponsorship deals came in. These commercials, just like on cable TV, are necessary to keep the show at the level it's at. So these commercials felt fine. It felt like, you know what, hey, we kind of need a break, actually.
Yeah.
I need to go to the bathroom. I need to take a drink. Oh, hey, look,
for
cool.
sure.
You know, and the thing is, it could be argue that maybe they should announce they were going on break better. Could have said, and now a message from our sponsors.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And maybe they don't want to say sponsors because then they think, oh, is the show rigged?
Right. Yeah.
But when clearly it's not, it's just commercial spots.
Right.
But still, I like that. It felt more natural.
No, for sure.
And that was a huge improvement because I was really worried he was going to keep going down that road because he went down that road because he needed the funding.
Right.
And that the people who did like the backroom stuff and all like that, they was the most funding.
It honestly didn't even feel like a commercial break either, though. It still felt like it was part of the Game Awards.
It just felt like a natural flow.
Right.
It only became obvious to me like we were in a commercial break when all of a sudden like the Switch thing. Oh yeah, I've seen that. It's commercial.
Yeah, it's a commercial, but it still felt like a natural flow.
Yeah, it felt like part of the show. Like okay, they're advertising some games, but like it's the Game Awards. Why won't you advertise some games? Or advertising the Switch or whatever the case may be. Good on Jeff Keighley. It was the best Game Awards I think he's done yet. Still need to get if they could just fix. If they're not going to reduce the number of awards, which I understand, there's thousands of games coming out every year. You're not going to. I mean, 30 awards almost seems minuscule for how many games are coming out.
Right.
But you just need to find a better way because there's no way in heck you're going to get 30 in 2 hours. No one wants it to go 3 hours. That's 15 every 90 minutes. That's a lot, and people are going to get beat over the head and get bored. 2 hours, I think. It went 2.5, and that was really pushing it. 2 hours is pushing it. So they need to find a better way. That's my idea. I'm not saying that's what they have to do. Maybe you guys have a suggestion for how they can improve it without reducing. Because I think, obviously, the number one thing is reduce the amount of awards. But assuming that they're not willing to even consider that, then just what's your idea for how they could handle it better?
Right.
You could argue maybe they should have 2 shows.
Yeah. Well, like I said, you could do like a mobile and esports, a type of those type of where it's kind of different genres of.
I understand the whole point is to get everyone together for one night.
Right.
I get it. I think that's great. Just like the Oscars. I did think it was a little weird that we had the 2 movie things in there.
Yeah.
Just because it's a video game award show, and I understand like one of it was kind of a preamble for getting Kojima on stage because he's best buddies or really good friends with Guillermo del Toro.
Yep. And
I think the idea was basically that I think the only reason that happened is because Kojima is such good friends with Keighley that he wanted to help his other friend get his movie out in front of more people.
Right. But that part actually didn't.
Well, it didn't bother me because it looked really good.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if you like the movie trailer, that's going to change your
right.
perspective on whether that was a good ad or not.
The one that actually got
Jumanji?
me... No. The one
I still can't believe they threw Jumanji in.
Right.
I was like, well, technically, they argued the reason it could be in there is because it's a video game version of Jumanji in this movie.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, okay, I get the tie-in. Yeah. And now that I've seen the real trailer for it, not the Game Awards one, but like I actually went to a movie last night and saw like the actual Jumanji trailer, and sure enough, their kids playing a video game version of Jumanji. They get sucked into the game.
I'm still mad that they didn't have Karen in it.
She's in the trailer.
No, I know she's in the trailer, but she wasn't in the Game Awards.
Well, that's because they took the 3 biggest actors and threw them out there.
Yeah, but Karen's.
Yeah, but not the Rock.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
They put out the people that everyone knows for sure.
Yes, I know.
Anyways, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, both the movies trailers, those particular ones look really good.
The one that got me though was that one trailer. I can't remember what game that was. The Death
Stranding.
Death Stranding.
That one, boy, get ready, guys.
No,
he was complaining about it at the time too.
It just felt a little long, and to me, trailers are meant to get you hyped, and
I'm reserving myself.
I know.
Cool.
This one, even though there were spots that was like, oh, okay, this is actually really good.
It ended really well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. That it did. That it was. I mean, I'm not saying that this is a bad trailer.
No, there was a moment in it.
There's a few moments in it that are just felt like they could have been cut out.
The thing was, I remember we were watching it live, and you're just like, this looks really good. And then at one point, you look at me like, this is too long. I'm kind of losing interest. Then all of a sudden, the big thing happens, and you're like, oh,
okay.
This game looks good.
Yeah.
Just don't show this much.
Right. Exactly. And that was my thing that got me.
Now, I would normally agree with you. We agreed on this in the past because Nintendo did that with Xenoblade.
during the one event that they never should have had like a 15-minute nonstop conversation about the game. But I felt like it was different then because that was overwhelming. They were that was jam-packed. They were overwhelming you. Like, even when I play Xenoblade, it hits you with this stuff fast, but it still hits you one at a time. Like, it lets you know about a mechanic, and then you go do something, then you learn a new mechanic, then you go do something. It might hit you all within the first few hours, but it's introduced to you slow enough. Versus when you're just saying, oh yeah, you can do this, this. It's like, oh my god, stop. I don't even remember what you said 5 thises ago.
Right.
And maybe, if you're a Xenoblade fan, you could follow it easier, but as someone who's trying to get into it, it's like, well, what? And I know, and the thing is, I used to love JRPGs. I know it gets complex, but it's just like, that's not how you advertise your game. Just in my opinion. Death Stranding's interesting because this is how Kojima does all his games. All the Metal Gear Solid reveal trailers were all really, really super long. And This wasn't technically a reveal trailer. They unveiled it last year, the year before. But it was a very small clip they showed. This time they actually showed a lot more of the story premise, which is, I think, how he's trying to grip people. We still haven't seen gameplay.
Right.
But what we saw was, like, this is how, like, we saw the baby when it was unveiled at Game Awards before, but, like, now we have some context behind it. Then it was really cool when the baby got the thumb up the throat. Yeah. I'm like, what is happening? Yeah. The baby's inside a guy?
Yeah, right.
What? Yeah. The thing is, I give it a pass just because it's Kojima, and maybe that's wrong of me. Because you're sitting here like, I'm just going to treat everyone fairly. That was too long.
Right.
And I'm just like, but this is what Kojima always does. Like, I expected it to be, when Jeff gives like the longest game trailer in Game Awards history, I'm like, well, it's Death Stranding because he's best friends with Kojima, and Kojima's just going to go nuts because Kojima's literally only advertised his game at the Game Awards.
Right. And like I said, it wasn't bad. It just, to me, there were parts of it that could have been cut out.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. I feel like this is a case of the other way around, where if you were a Xenoblade fan and had played a lot of Xenoblade 1 and a lot of X, you might not have had an issue with the one time when they showed 15 minutes of Xenoblade in a stream that was about a whole bunch of other games as well. You might not have been bothered by it. You'd be like, yes, just like with Zelda. They show a half hour of Zelda in the middle of a Nintendo Direct. I'm going nuts.
Yeah.
But I know everything. So I want to keep knowing more. Keep showing me more. I'm not going to complain. Whereas with here, like, I know a lot about Kojima. Like, you know who he is.
Yes.
But I've played a ton of his games. A lot of his games. So it's like, I wasn't bothered by it because this is what Kojima games are. Whereas someone like you, again, it's just like what we both experienced with the Xenoblade one, where we're outsiders looking in. Not just because this is a new game. Like, this is a new IP. No one's ever played it. But because you're an outsider looking into Kojima style games.
Right.
So, like, to you, it was hard to try to stay into that trailer the whole time when you just aren't completely sold into his type of games in the first place. Or someone like me who's really sold into his game, like, dude, show me more. This is great. This is insane.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. And I feel like your side of things is probably the side I agree with more because you're trying to draw whenever you make a game, you don't just want to draw in the existing fans of whatever you're doing.
Right.
Like, Kojima doesn't just want to bring in the Metal Gear Solid fans.
Right.
He wants to bring in new people. And I feel like that's what all games should be doing every time. Not saying that they should give up what they are to be, but in how they present the game, they should do that. So I feel like I feel it because the more you kept talking, the more I kept saying, I'm giving it a pass because of Kojima. But I shouldn't be. Because you are at the outside looking in, I'm on the inside looking in. And we were both on the outside looking in before. I get it. All right. Good point. Yeah. So maybe Kojima, I know you like doing your thing. You're not going to change.
Right.
You've never changed. It's been like 25 years. You're not going to change your way. But
just shave 3 minutes off. We're fine.
Just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so hard because I'm like, I love it so much. I'm like, I get it. I don't know what you could have did differently. But that's not up for me to figure out.
Right, exactly.
So it wasn't like the Xenoblade one where I very clearly like you could have just not talked. Like, there was a point where you just stop. Right. The trailer was beautiful. Stop.
Yes.
You hyped everyone up. Now stop. Now you're blowing the hype.
Yeah. And I think this could have been broken up into 2 or 3 sections.
I feel like if they would have stopped at the point where the kid gave the thumbs up over the throat, that would have been a cool stopping point. You're like, wait, the kid just transferred into the guy's body. What just happened? Just stop there.
Right.
It looks like it's a very mysterious game. Very much like,
for sure.
and I don't want to spend too much time talking about Death Stranding because we don't know if it's coming to Switch. I doubt it's coming to Switch. Right. Actually, I think we do know because I think it's PlayStation 4 exclusive. Pretty sure he partnered with Sony.
Okay.
Because Sony's helping pay for it. That's why he's able to make a AAA game. His first game.
Right.
His first game off of Konami. For me, for the Game Awards, I mean, outside of fixing the onstage presentation, I think it's just picking what direction you want the awards to be. Because Jeff Keighley has always said he wants the Game Awards to be the Oscars of the gaming world. And it kind of is. But at the same time, the Oscars have a worldwide respect. Just like the Golden Globes have a worldwide respect. The ESPYs aren't, the Emmys even. The ESPYs aren't quite as big of a deal. Right. But they're a big deal in the U.S. at least. Right. And there's this level of respect to that presentation. You can have jokesters up on stage just like you can at all the other events. But it's all, there's a point you don't cross.
The one guy might have crossed it a little bit.
Well, he dropped one F-bomb. And then, no, I know, he dropped several, but he dropped the one F-bomb early, right away. And then he, stopped himself, and he was trying to censor it, and then he paused because he wanted to say something, he right before he was about to say F the Oscars, he stopped himself, and he looked at Jeff, and he says, is it okay to swear? Even though he'd already swore. So Jeff's like, well, I mean, you've already... what am I going to do? You already did it. We don't censor. We're live, so sure, go for it. And then he just went off.
Yes. And you can tell Jeff in the background was just like, oh, no.
Here's the thing. This is where I'm torn, because if you want this to be something at the Oscars level, that means there has to be boundaries, and that clearly would cross the boundary in the mainstream acceptance.
Right.
Gamer-wise, it's great.
Oh, no, for sure.
I loved it. It was one of the best moments of the show, not just because it's entertaining and unexpected, but because the guy's like, dude, F loot boxes, man. F this, F that, F the Oscars for screwing me over, F this. All this stuff, he's just saying all these things that people are thinking.
Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden he's like, right at the end, he's like, but I just want to let you know, man, EA is paying for this, and they're not forcing me to put loot boxes in. Blah, 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 blah. And basically, he's just saying, EA treats me well. Because here's the thing. I don't know if people know this. EA was recently voted in as one of the best, 50 companies in the United States to work for.
Oh, right.
And I've heard this in the past, when EA was winning awards, but, EA is one of the worst companies to work for. It turned out that was more of a fan vote, being we hate EA, versus the employees that work there actually really like EA.
Right.
They don't feel like EA's forcing them to do things, even though they kind of are in some cases. None of them want to build a game around loot boxes, but that's kind of what they say to do. But they're compensated well. They get good vacation, good pay. So a lot of people even said EA, people who have worked at Google and EA say EA is not that different from Google. So it felt good at least saying that, hey, look, I know EA gets a lot of crap. They get a lot of deserved crap. I just gave them crap.
Yeah, right.
But they treat me very well.
Right.
They're allowing me to do something that no one else might allow me to do, especially get up there and say, F you for these dumb things you do, but I still love you anyways.
Right.
But that's the thing. That moment there, to me, is the difference between this having mainstream acceptance and this being a show for gamers. And it's a fine balance Jeff has been balancing, because to be mainstream, you can't have moments like that. No. I'm not saying that Kanye and other people haven't gone on stage and done something stupid. Right. But it very rarely happens, and it doesn't end up with F this, F that, F this. It might be one F-bomb and they're done. Right. And they're just not invited back for the next 5 years. Right. Yeah. But this is... And that's because they have standards. Right. Where Jeff Keighley's you can swear. It's you can? Yeah. You know there's children. I know that you warn. It does warn at the very beginning. Right. It does actually say, it basically says the show's for adults at the very beginning. Right. It warns there's
content, not suitable for kids.
Violence, it does do a good job warning you, so it's not like he's in any legal trouble. Right. Even though obviously kids are going to be watching. Right. But it's one of those things where Jeff has to decide, does he want that mainstream acceptance like the Oscars get, or does he actually want to make a show for the gamers? Right. If it's for the gamers, then more of those moments, please. Oh, yeah, definitely. Get those developers on stage that are fired up, have an excellent product going, and they want to fix the game industry. Right. And the reason why that felt so good, and this is why I felt like this show was for the gamers. This was the first Game Award. All the other Game Awards I felt like was more catering towards trying to become mainstream. Right. No swearing. You can't say anything negative about gaming. Right. This show comes out. There was so much shade. Oh, yeah.
The one award where you had to actually pay a
hold on, I got to pay a microtransaction.
There you go. Yep.
Like, seriously, nobody likes that.
Right.
And, like, there was so much shade thrown at microtransactions and loot boxes, particularly, by so many different people throughout the show. That, to me, is what makes it a show for gamers. Because these are industry people saying this.
Right.
This isn't just you and me on a forum, or on a YouTube blathering away. These are people within the industry being like, dude, this stuff sucks. F this. Like, we should not be doing this. It needs to stop. And I'm speaking to publishers. Stop this. No one likes this. Yes, we all know it sucks. We all deal with it. Blah blah blah. But then, like that's the kind of thing that isn't going to happen to the Oscars. You're not going to see them get on stage outside of this year. I could see it be, or the next one. I could see it be because they had all this sexual harassment happen this year with Hollywood stars. I could see them coming out and having like a big stance against that.
Right.
But
that's also understandable.
That's also like a social issue.
Yeah.
Loot boxes and microtransactions aren't social issues.
They're
social greedy issues. MFer issues.
Yes.
Potentially a gambling issue, but not a social issue.
Yeah.
So,
did you want to touch on that just a little bit? Just
sure. You know what? Yeah, we had another
topic.
Yeah, we had another topic that from Undernet. You just want to talk about loot box legislation. What did you want to say on that? Because you picked this topic specifically to talk about. So what do you want to talk about?
I just think it's it's one of those things that I understand both sides, in a way. I understand why they put them in there.
Money. It's all about money.
I get it.
It's exploiting people's
and
like people like when they get lucky.
Right. No, for sure. It to me, I understand it more for not big companies like EA. And just the small mom and pop ones that are trying to,
I think this is more
to maximize their profit on a game, trying to at least build themselves up in the industry. I understand it a little bit more in those games than in the big giant.
You mean the freemium games?
Right.
Like free to play, or as a lot of people say, free to pay.
Right.
Or fee to play, whatever. I feel like that's what happened because like these type of things have been going on forever, in the mobile game space. But people kind of be like, well, the games have to make money, and there's really two main pillars to make money. Tons and tons of ads.
Yep.
Which almost every game has, anyways. Not all games, but almost every game.
Yep.
And microtransactions. Now, there's different types of microtransactions. And loot boxes are a form of microtransaction. Loot boxes are what some people consider to be the worst form of microtransactions, but you didn't pay anything to play the game. So...
Right. And as long as it's not forced down your throat, where you basically they put you in a position where you...
Like Fire Emblem Heroes.
Basically have to pay...
Fire Emblem Heroes does that.
Yeah. Or 2K18, where My career mode,
you have to buy virtual currency.
You basically have to buy.
If you ever want to max out your character, you have to buy virtual currency.
Right.
Like Road to 99. Yeah, Road to 99, spend $1,000.
Yeah.
That's your Road to 99. And that sucks.
Right.
It really sucks. Especially, like, there's people like, oh yeah, I'm 13 seasons in and my guy's an 80. 13 seasons in to get to an 80, you're regressing at that point.
Yeah, right, exactly. And so I understand the reasoning behind them and stuff like that, but you can also, as a gamer myself, we play Tap Sports Baseball. Those draft picks that we go through, it really feels like those aren't random. It really feels like,
Well, here's the thing. I thought that last year, but then this year I started hitting on more 5 stars in it. So I'm like, maybe it really is random, and we were just unlucky because obviously the percentages are going to favor getting a crappy player than a good player.
Right.
Because like I remember, I played games like World of Warcraft where it's random loot tables.
Yeah.
You would literally do this one instance back in vanilla WoW. It's not like today. Today it's a lot easier to get loot in WoW. Yeah. But in vanilla WoW, you would like run an instance like, I don't even want to know, say 200 times in a row over the course of like 3 months and never once even see the item you want drop. Because that's just the way it is. It's a low, it's like a 0.1% chance of dropping. Or just like people who had epics and legendaries, a 0.002% chance.
Right.
And I feel like that's probably what happens with these is that they're set at like a less than 1% chance of getting a 5-star or something.
Yeah, I mean, and that's all...
Unless it's a 5-star draft pick.
Right.
Then that's just totally... I don't think they care then.
No. But, I mean, it seemed like more than what it should be. I mean, you're less of a chance of getting your higher players than what it probably should have been.
I don't know. I mean, again, that's obviously adjusting percentages.
Right.
But that's also a free-to-play game.
True.
And again, you're complaining because it bothers you because it's a game you play.
Right.
And you spent money on it.
Right.
And then, again, that kind of gets into the whole boat. You just said, like, it's okay for these smaller developers, and they're saying, but Tap Sports Baseball, no, it's not.
No. I didn't say
or they
it
can
wasn't.
get better. It can be better.
It can be better.
But it's not
I
going
didn't.
to.
I didn't say
it's
it
not
wasn't.
going to.
No, I know.
Because imagine if they just gave you a bunch of 5 stars.
No,
And like,
I
say
get it.
you spent $50 and you ended up getting 3 5 stars. How likely are you to spend $50 again when you already got the players you wanted?
Yeah. No,
I mean, that's kind of the balance they get where they want to keep you spending. They don't want to give you crap players all the time.
Right.
But they don't want to give you great players so often that you don't feel like you need to spend money anymore. That's a balance.
Yeah,
that's the balance with loot boxes.
Right.
They want you to feel like you're getting something for your money that's valuable enough, but not quite exactly everything that you want, so you keep spending. That's all microtransactions. That's all loot boxes. That's what gambling gets you.
Right.
You get that $50 win, and you're like, oh, let me keep going, see if I can get $100.
Right.
Oh, I hit on 30. Oh, I hit on 20. Oh, crap,
Right.
I just lost 100 in a row.
Right.
I mean, that's how gambling works, and that's why a lot of people have an issue with loot boxes, because they work a lot like gambling, just not with, like, you don't win money back.
Right.
You're winning items.
Items back,
or
yep.
characters, or whatever, or stats.
Yeah,
and I feel like, I think we both can agree in a $60 product, they just shouldn't be there.
No, not at all.
I'm not saying that they don't have a place. Like, as an example, Overwatch has them. Just cosmetics. People do spend money on it, but it doesn't affect the gameplay. That's one thing. I have an issue in multiplayer games where it affects gameplay, and this includes Tap Sports Baseball.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But it's an issue to me. I don't think loot boxes should ever affect gameplay, but then again, in Tap Sports Baseball, I'm like, well, how can they do it without affecting gameplay?
Right.
It's tough because EA is basically the company that is at the center of all the loot box stuff, because they kind of got it going with Ultimate Team back on FIFA way back in the day, and then spread that out now to Madden and other franchises, and now into Star Wars Battlefront, although now they might not be bringing back the paid due to pressure, essentially from Disney.
And also
Disney's like, hey, dude, why are all these people pissed at you guys about our Star Wars game?
Right.
What the hell?
It's not looking good on us.
So there's even a petition out there that has like 80,000 signatures for Disney to revoke the Star Wars license from EA after all this.
Yep.
And I don't know if Disney's going to go that far, although if Disney's sending you a cease and desist letter with microtransactions, they're probably already thinking maybe we shouldn't, or if we're not going to pull the license from you, we're not going to make it exclusive anymore. And they'll be like, whatever penalty is in the contract, we don't care. The bad press sucks.
Right.
Like, people are mad that you close
the bad press.
Like,
is
you won't do a single player game. We'll go find a studio that will.
Right. The bad press is worse than the penalty we pay in the
because
contract.
they don't. The last thing Disney wants, they spent a ton of money on Star Wars.
Oh yeah. LucasArts.
They do not want Star Wars getting tainted, because Star Wars got tainted when they made the prequels.
Yeah.
Episode 1 through 3. Got tainted because they just weren't very good movies. Forget good Star Wars movies; they just weren't very good movies, and that kind of ruined some of the reputation of Star Wars. And it took the right timing, the purchase of Disney, and the right people behind the last Star Wars movie to really last couple to really make it stand out. And it made a turnaround now, and now The Last Jedi is coming out soon here, and again, everything about it looks fantastic so far. So Disney's riding high on Star Wars now. They revitalized a beloved franchise, just like they helped with Marvel doing the same thing.
Right.
And Disney's one of those places where they want nothing but good press about Star Wars. So if you're getting bad press, why? We don't. And here's the thing: Disney could say we don't care about sales, we just care about reputation. Well, guess what? Sales of Battlefront 2 aren't that good either right now. So that's kind of what started all this loot box legislation in the first place too, was Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Right.
Because it's the first AAA game that felt like it's specifically targeted at younger audience of Star Wars fans versus even though you could say FIFA is and Madden is, I think a lot of times it just got ignored because you didn't see the microtransactions basically outside of Ultimate Team.
Right.
And while Ultimate Team was a growing popular thing, it was really only played by adults because you had to have money. So they didn't really think much of it. But then here's Star Wars being like, this isn't a separate mode from the game. Our game is built around this. This is Tap Sports Baseball in Star Wars form, basically.
And these types of things actually kind of, with going back to like Overwatch and like League of Legends, these kind of almost, they don't, again, it's more of the ones that don't affect gameplay.
Yeah.
Because you can spend money on, like, I play League every once in a while. You can spend money on characters, you can spend money on skins, stuff like that. But you don't have to. You can randomly get those champions. You can randomly get the skins.
Yeah.
You don't have to spend the money to get those things.
Yep.
And so it's
just like in Overwatch. I don't know exactly how it works in League. In Overwatch, because I have that game. One, it is a $60 game, but like the loot boxes, you can earn them in game as well. You don't earn them as fast, but again, because it's all cosmetic.
Right.
Like you're not even earning characters. It's just cosmetic stuff.
Right.
You never feel like you need to spend money. Like, yeah, you want your character to look bad, but it doesn't really matter. It doesn't affect how you play.
Right.
And that's why it doesn't bother me in Overwatch so much, because it's like it doesn't feel like gambling because you're not getting anything of real value, right? It's people. It's just like people in World of Warcraft going out and buying a new pet off of their store. The pet has no impact in the game. It's just a cosmetic thing. Who cares? Or you buy a new mount. Like, who cares? It has no effect. You might not be able to get that mount in the game, but it doesn't matter because it has no effect on the game itself. So it's just you looking cool. You want to stand out, and that's basically what cosmetic things are in like League and Overwatch.
So
I still don't like the MOBA characters a lot behind it, but
no, well the
champion
you can't. Well, you can buy.
Can you buy individual champions?
Yeah, using the points that you buy.
So you don't have to do loot boxes. You can just buy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's better because the thing is, League is a free to play game,
right?
So being able to buy character that doesn't bother me. Right. Microtransactions should absolutely. They gotta make money.
Right. No. Exactly. So those, like the MOBA industry, that feels like it's
kind of built around
it.
Yeah.
And those make sense because
esports in general.
Right.
Esports.
They're not forcing you to buy them. You aren't getting any advantage by buying them. You could just maybe get a champion a little bit easier than not, but you can still have every chance to get that champion by not purchasing them, like spending actual money on your.
I think EA would have got away with their loot boxes in Star Wars Battlefront 2 if it had just been limited to one mode. I think that's the problem. They built the game around it.
Yep.
And when we're talking about the loot box legislation, I know there's some countries that have deemed it's not gambling. There's some countries that have said it is gambling. We know in the United States, they're very much pushing it as gambling. Like, they're coming out and throwing shade at it right away.
Isn't there somebody that actually has taken this to court right now?
Chris Lee is leading the charge out of Hawaii. He's got, he said like a handful of other states are on his side, and they're very, very close to having a full lawsuit on the table. They basically recently, in like the last week or two, threw out a warning shot. They basically told the video game industry, you need to address loot boxes or we will take care of it.
Right.
Because it sounds like they have judges that agree with them. And if that's the case, because there's no precedent set for this yet in the U.S., because if you guys know anything about the legal system in the U.S., it comes down to precedent. If a precedent has been set, that's basically what your lawyer is going to argue about, and you're more than likely that's what the outcome is going to be. So no precedent is set for it yet, but gambling's always this interesting thing in the U.S. It's not outside of Las Vegas, Nevada. It's technically illegal outside of certain casinos and zoning. You know, there were these people that just got busted in New York for running a stupid football pool league that had like 2.5 million in it, and some people were like going off about it because the football league, like, who cares? The only reason the government cares is because they're not getting a cut of the money because of taxes, because that's the big thing. Casinos, all the money's taxed. You know, you win a big amount at the casino, you have to pay taxes on that. It's all tracked and taken care of unless you lost that money back to the casino, then you don't have to. And they can prove that. You know, if you say, "Oh, I lost my money back to the casino," they'll go back and look like, okay, yeah, they could track, like, especially if you have a player's card, they could track what you lost, won and lost. But it's just a very interesting thing to me, because the legislation is going to come down and probably determine it's gambling because they're against like all this online stuff.
Well, I mean, look at FanDuel and
FanDuel and DraftKings have only been banned in like a few states.
Right.
New York being one. New York's like the strictest state on gambling, which is also where these football leagues got busted, which I think sucks. I think the football pools getting busted does suck. Because they got another big football pool in New York also got busted like 4 years ago and still hasn't even gone to trial. Because they don't really know what to do.
Right.
Because if it's being ran as a legal business and taxes are being paid on it, then what do you do? And their issue seems to be whether or not you're taking a cut or not. Like if the house isn't taking a 10% cut, which is usual for running the league, and it makes you question things like we play like on Yahoo, they take a little cut of each entry fee. Why is that legal? Then you look into it and say, well, that's because it's considered a game of skill. And it's like, well, is fantasy football a game of skill? I mean, it is, and because you have to build your team and pay a lot of attention and do your research, but then injuries happen.
Yeah, and you also have
there is a point of luck to it,
right? Because
you're not playing the game,
right?
It's not like I'm going out on the court and shooting the ball in fantasy basketball,
right?
Like any player can go off on any night, any player can get hurt on any night. I don't control any of that,
right?
I just do my research and look up matchups and try to gain an advantage.
Or whether or not that player that you want is on the board.
And even if you want to argue it's a game of skill, so is poker, and it's illegal to do that outside of casinos for money. So it's kind of like, how is it still legal? I like that it's legal. I'm of mind that type of gambling should be legal all across the U.S. A lot of countries, it's legal everywhere, and not even taxed,
right?
Or even tracked, because who cares?
Yeah.
It's people spending their own money with their buddies, and if they lose it, they lose it. They obviously don't care,
right?
Like a football pool, who cares? I have 8,000 friends. They want to put $100 into a pool. As long as I'm actually paying out,
right?
It's when you don't pay out and you lose the money, that's when legal stuff should get involved.
Right. No, for sure.
But outside of that's not the case here. People were getting paid out. This pool had been apparently that just got busted, been running for like 8 years. Like it never had an issue. So they're reliable. They had a legal business for it. Like it's just really got busted. Right. And that's where we get back to like this loot box situation where in the United States that's just the way it is. Right. There's interesting situations like with FanDuel and DraftKings, which seems to have leveled out now. It feels like the states that are staunchly against it took care of it. Everyone else is just going to let it be.
Right.
Thankfully, we live in Wisconsin where they do let it be.
Right.
Because I would hate to not have to get to play fantasy football. Or just think about this: I'm in a buddy league with like Logan, and I pay $20 to be in that league. Technically, if my state was against this kind of stuff, that's illegal. Might even be illegal technically because it's not being taxed. So. Should that really be? Should like him? I don't even get in trouble for it. Should my buddy go to jail for running a paid league like that? Like no, no, it's dumb. We're talking about like $120 a year total.
Yeah,
should he really go to jail? Well, if you add that up over the course of 20 years, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, but that's the thing. That's the way this country works because the precedents have been set for it. Loot boxes, if they get determined to be a form of gambling.
No, for sure.
They either could get killed entirely. They could be forced to. Any game that has it has to be M-rated. Think about how it's going to affect the mobile market if that happens. Or suddenly,
every game is now paid for.
99% of mobile games are now M-rated because of microtransactions.
Or you're now paying for them.
That's probably what a lot will try to do because we can't do that. We can't be M-rated because most of our players are under 18 and aren't even spending money on the game. We're making ad money off them. We don't stop making ad money.
Well, yeah. I mean, Candy Crush, how the heck are you going to make that, like, M-rated? I mean, it's seriously, it's...
Oh, but you have to spend microtransactions to get lives, or you can. You can also get... I never... Candy Crush, you can just get your Facebook friends to send you lives.
Right.
As long as you have enough people playing Candy Crush, you never need to spend money. Right. But they still have ads, and that's how they also make money. It's just an interesting point. I'm going to follow it closely. A lot of people want to know, does this have any impact on Nintendo? Nintendo is obviously not heavily invested in the microtransactions / loot box realm beyond mobile. Fire Emblem Heroes is very much a loot box game. There's no microtransactions in Super Mario Run. There is an Animal Crossing Pocket Edition. And we don't think this is going to affect microtransactions yet, this legislation, but it could lead. It's kind of that rabbit hole effect where one thing leads to another. If they're going to regulate loot boxes, what stops them from regulating microtransactions? What stops them from starting to regulate the ESRB? It's how close, is this my only worry with the legislation isn't that it doesn't need to happen. If the game industry can't fix itself, someone needs to do it before it gets worse. But there's always the concern that one leads to another, leads to another, leads to another, and suddenly government is regulating all video games.
Right.
And when that happens, we've seen this in other countries where it happens. You can't even get certain types of video games.
Yep.
Certain things have to be cut out of video games.
Yep.
You can't tell certain stories. You can't tell this, can't tell that.
Yep.
And none of these regulations exist like in the movies area or
right.
in TV space because they regulate themselves really well.
Right. Well, I don't know how you're gonna microtransaction in a movie, but I mean, I guess behind a paywall for
that already happens in some places. I mean,
Oh,
basically, everybody just subscribe now to like Netflix or whatever, and
Right.
you just get everything. But the point is that like the stuff's not regulated in there. Like
pay to unlock
like-
special content in
like
this
if,
movie.
like if my kids select my profile on Netflix, they have access to all that M-rated stuff.
Yeah.
Or stuff that's not even rated at all.
Yeah.
And it sucks knowing that, but at least Netflix is nice because I can tell who's been on my account because you can see what was watched, and I'll be like, "Yuli, was it you?" No. Well, one of our kids is watching something they're not ready to be watching right now, like Narcos or whatever. Show a drug kingpin. My kids aren't ready to see that yet.
No.
People die and there are lots of blood. It's just not. It's a great show, but like not for kids. But here's the thing: like I don't want. The problem is movies and stuff probably never got regulated that hardcore because one, they do a good job regulating themselves, and two, they don't have the microtransaction loot box issue because it's not an interactive entertainment medium; it's just one you watch. Whereas video games are interactive, so they're finding ways to abuse that interactions to gain more money. And if that leads to government regulations there, what's to stop the governments from being like, now we're going to regulate the type of games you can make.
Right.
So now you can't make games that have boobs in it. Which some people say, hey, whatever, we don't care about that. But like, then why is porn allowed then?
Right. No, for sure.
I mean, that's worse.
Yeah.
You can argue if porn is sexist or not all you want, but I mean, that's what I'm afraid will lead to is the regulate. I mean, there's regulations on porn as well, but like, it's basically an age regulation. Otherwise, besides that, almost anything goes. Age and animals, those are like the two things.
Yeah.
Otherwise, pretty much anything goes.
Yeah.
In the porn industry, as long as people of age are the ones watching it, which with the internet, that's one argument too. It's like, oh, we should get rid of net neutrality and charge people who watch porn more money to watch stuff. No.
It's not even just because porn. It's because net neutrality.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other topic and not on this thing. But I do want to say, let us know what you guys think on the loot boxes and what you thought of the Game Awards. If it could be better, if it could be worse, what you liked, what you didn't like. Let us know what you think. Because it's always nice to hear.
Here's what I want to know too about that. If you are staunchly against loot boxes, which I'm going to assume most of you are, we have to remember why they exist. And I'm not going to talk about the BS excuses some companies give about how games cost more to make today.
Yeah.
When research shows that games aren't really costing that much more to make today than they were 10 years ago. Sometimes it's just bad marketing, bad budgeting, expenses, blah, 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 blah. And there's plenty of companies like Bethesda still making single-player games, exclusively making AAA single-player games and doing fine. So clearly, even the excuse that you can't make AAA single-player games is BS. Remember, Save Player One.
Right.
Awesome thing.
Hashtag Save Player One.
So I want to know that basically the reason that the loot box exists is for money. So is there a way that you feel companies could make extra money off of games after the initial sale that you would be okay with? Let me know if you have it, because reality is that companies like EA, Ubisoft, even Nintendo, they're going to find ways to try to make more money off people after the initial purchase of the game. And I just want to know if there's any method that currently exists or that you are okay existing in the future, because I don't think the piecemealing of games, the microtransaction stuff, it's not going to go away. It's going to evolve.
Right.
But is there a way that it's going to evolve that you would be okay with? Or is it just F all that, pay $60, I should have everything all the time?
Or
even if it technically, and this is where you get into weird things. What if it is a game of a service game? Like, yeah, you get all these people that buy Overwatch day one. Say you sell 10 million copies of Overwatch, but you never sell another copy again for the next 5 years, but it's still costing you all this money to keep the servers going, running tournaments and stuff. You got to start realizing why this stuff exists too, because there's ongoing costs associated with keeping the game going. So again, let me know if you guys have any ideas that you would be okay with, because I don't know. I understand why this stuff exists. I feel like there needs to be a way for them to monetize. There's some things that happen now I'm okay with. Even certain loot box things I'm okay with. And that's going to make some of you guys be like, whoa.
Yeah, right.
But
I don't know. You guys let me know what you think.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to quickly talk about the sports. We're going to kind of fly through these last couple topics here.
Which is
Brandon Wheeler. This was supposed to be our original first topic, but it got pushed back for the bets, and then kind of led naturally into legislation. Brandon Wheeler said, let's talk about sports titles on Switch. And the reason I know this one's going to be quick is not because we don't want to talk about sports titles. It's because you want us to talk about a sports title we don't know a lot about.
Right.
WWE 2K18 was released today on the eShop at the time that he commented this.
Mm-hmm.
Physical copies look like it'll be available next week or so on the 11th or 12th.
So a couple days from now.
Or at the time that you hear this, it'll
actually it might be the day of.
It might be. Some retailers may have gotten it earlier. We got a competent port with NBA 2K18. We did. No, it is now.
It is now.
It is now. At launch, it was just okay. It had issues, but now,
right,
they've done a good job patching it. 3 months ago was when NBA 2K18 won. So now we have both a basketball and a wrestling game on Nintendo's home/portable hybrid console. There is also RBI baseball on Switch. Haven't played it yet, but it is on Switch. No football title yet. We want Madden
questionably whether it can be or not.
What do you think of the new wrestling title? Do you even have any thoughts on this?
The last major wrestling game that I played and owned was, I think, is it WWE? WWF Warzone back on the 64. And don't get me wrong, I played the crap out of that game and I loved it. But I haven't really continued to play since. And it's not like it's one of those things that I'm actually against playing. It's just I
stopped playing.
Haven't bought one.
The last wrestling game I played, I think, was on Game Boy or Game Boy Color, maybe Game Boy Advance. I can't remember. I just remember playing as the Heartbreak Kid all the time.
Yeah.
Getting the Sweet Chin music going. And that's like the only character I ever played with all the time. Because the Sweet Chin music was just awesome. And it's like, there's other characters I liked, but it was like, it doesn't matter. Sweet Chin music was the easiest move to pull off.
Yeah.
So I was just doing it all the time. Yep. Sweet Chin music, Sweet Chin music, Sweet Chin music everywhere. It felt like I was like roundhouse kicking everyone.
Right.
Like, Roadhouse.
Roadhouse.
I don't even remember what the game was called, but that's how long it's been since I played. So, one, we're obviously not big. I'm not going to say I don't like the WWE.
Right.
I don't like that my biological father or my daughter has let her watch some of the WWE because she is only 6, almost 7, and should not be watching that quite yet. When she hits about 10, I think it's okay. Especially if you explain, that, hey, by the way, this isn't real. People tried telling me that back when I was a kid. I'm like, oh, it's real. And then I'm like, okay.
Wait a minute, never mind.
Why is that guy acting like he just got jacked up when he totally missed him?
Yeah, right. Yeah, you can. They missed the camera angle, and you can clearly show that
there aren't real injuries.
Oh no, for sure.
The real injuries don't get built into a storyline; they're fake.
Right.
A guy doesn't just, oh my god, he broke his back 3 weeks ago and he just came back and won the title. No, he didn't actually break his back.
Right.
Look at people like Ryan Shazier, who actually potentially broke his back and now is getting fusion surgery. It's like,
and is possibly done for his career.
You don't just come back in 3 weeks from that.
Right.
So, whatever. It's all storyline based. And that's what I think that's what always made WWE fun to me. It wasn't the wrestling, it was the stories.
Right.
Bad acting and all.
Yeah.
Like the best wrestlers of all time are the best actors.
Yeah.
The Rock is one of the most popular of all time. Lo and behold, he's the highest paid actor in Hollywood because he's good at acting.
Yeah. That's
what made him so good in the WWE. He was so good at that persona. Plus, he did steroids and kind of screwed up any possible chance at NFL career at the time.
Yeah.
Because he was a really good player at Miami.
Yeah.
If you watch The Ballers, you got to play for the Dolphins, baby.
Yeah.
So, I love that show. Show's so good. But he that's the good actors make it work. The WWE video games have just not interested me at all.
Right.
Because I don't watch as much WWE as I used to. I used to watch like Monday Night Raw for sure. SmackDown I didn't always watch. But Monday Night Raw, I remember watching back when there was like WCW. And then they had WCW versus the WWF. And then WWF bought them out. And then I remember when Vince McMahon launched the X League for football.
The XFL?
Yeah. The XFL. It was actually kind of cool. The thing is, like, it was a really cool league, but there was a lot of money issues with that league. That really screwed it all up. Because I think that if they... I don't know how Vince McMahon with the money he had screwed it up, but it got screwed up. Players were getting paid very well. They ended up playing for free at time. high risk game you're playing for free.
Higher risk than the NFL.
Yeah, but it's still that's the thing. Like the first year of it was actually really, really good. I thought it was going to be a success, but they screwed a lot of things. I screwed up behind the scenes.
Right.
ESPN, I think did a 30 for 30 on the XFL sometime about like why it existed, how cool it actually was, but like
what ultimately brought it down?
And regulations kind of made it fall apart. But like the WWE has always interested me. I still every now and then, if it happens to be a Monday night and I'm not streaming it because I'm not feeling well or something, I'll throw on because I always remember Raw. I was always a big Raw guy. I was Raw over SmackDown all the time. I never once rented a pay-per-view event. Well, it happened live. I remember there were a couple times when I was a kid at Celebrity Video. They would used to release them on DVD, and I would rent them then. Yeah. Even though I already know who won and everything by then, I wanted to see the matches and the storylines play out. Because you didn't really see the story. You just heard, oh, so and so B2. But like, how did the storyline play out?
Right.
So, because I always think, oh, even the pay per view events are live action, and it's like, I don't know if they are because I didn't really watch them. Right. Because it always felt like when people literally got real injuries and vanished for like years, it always happened at the pay-per-view events.
Right.
So that's why I was always like, well, okay. I mean, it's like, oh yeah, they have the cage match and the guy actually falls through the cage. I'm like, that's actually gotta hurt.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, you can't fake that. I mean, yes, I know the rings themselves are really springy, and maybe the metal on the cage isn't the hardest metal in the world because, they don't want you to get hurt.
Right.
But I'm sorry, when you get chucked 15 feet down through a cage, steel cage as they claim it is, that's still gotta hurt.
Oh yeah.
There's still gotta be a chance at injury.
Oh, for sure.
Like, and when people take the padding off of the cement brick sidings and they start smashing your face, that's gotta hurt a little bit.
That's saying
in the pay-per-view events, not so much. In the other, because in the non-pay-per-view events, you'd always notice all their hands go down for they're bracing for the hit. Versus when I watched the one pay-per-view event, I literally saw The Rock kick Triple H's head and just jam it right down onto the cement. And I'm just like, that does not happen on Raw. Actual concussions.
Yeah, right.
And they don't have a concussion protocol in the ring. But I can talk about the WWE all day because I loved it when I was a kid. I still think it's highly entertaining. I think it's fun entertainment. I don't think it's even bad for kids to watch it. Once they're at an age of understanding. My daughter thinking everything's real, so she thinks it's okay. Oh, so and so said a bad thing to me, so it's okay for me to punch him in the face.
Right? No. Come on. No, that's not how this works.
You know that those guys are just acting, right? That's not like, oh, well, this guy The Rock came out and he laid the smackdown and called him a jabroni. It's like, The Rock is a persona, right? His real name's Dwayne Johnson.
And do you even know what half the stuff that they're saying means?
Like, I don't know, he raised his eyebrow and everybody cheered.
Yeah, right? Or if you're Stone Cold Steve Austin, you cracked open a couple beers and poured them.
That was the one guy that I'm like, man, that doesn't feel really good. You're promoting drinking.
Yeah.
But whatever, it's Stone Cold. That was his persona. F everyone. Right. Yeah. I don't follow the rules.
Yeah.
So it's...
I'm hoping this game is amazing. I really do.
Here's the thing. This is where the only thing I can say about WWE 2K18, I have no hands-on experience. Haven't even watched videos of it. But people that I trust, like Spawnwave and others on YouTube, have played it. And Dreamcast guy, they all say it sucks.
No,
it's microtransaction to hell. It's buggy as hell on Switch. Well, and again the bugs, NBA 2K18 had a problem. They took care of it. The microtransaction to hell thing, if it's worse than NBA 2K18, because I hear that certain wrestlers are behind the microtransactions, that's a problem.
Yes, it is.
That can't happen.
No.
You want to have you create your own wrestler and that is microtransactions, that's like my career.
Yes. And
I don't like it, but at least, okay, I'm not going to be any more upset than I am with NBA. But like you start being like, oh, to get The Rock, you need to spend, $100. Like, no.
No, I already paid $60 for the game.
That's, crosses the line there. So, I don't know enough about this to say much more than that, but from what I have heard from the people who have played it that I trust, it sounds like it potentially is one of the worst Switch ports, one of the worst AAA Switch ports, and that the game itself is just not a good game.
Right. I'm hoping that it can be fixed. I'm hoping, just for wrestling fans to have something on.
Well, and if you guys remember, I went hands on with NBA 2K18.
Yeah.
And I blasted it after going hands on.
Oh, yeah.
But then it got better.
Right. So not out of the realm that this couldn't get better.
Yep.
And I hope it does. But
now, as for sports titles on the whole, we love sports titles. Bring them all to Switch.
Oh yeah,
issues and everything. We'll deal with it. Bring Madden. Bring Rory McIlroy's the old, it used to be Tiger Woods, but now it's Roy McIlroy or whatever, golf. Bring it over. Bring over professional bowling and the UFC game and all. Bring it all over. I might not play some of that stuff, but I love sports games. Yeah. It's a genre that Nintendo needs more games of on their system.
Yes.
FIFA 18 can't be the end of it. I guess NBA 2K. I'm hoping. I think NBA 2K18 might have did well enough for 2K19 to come, but we need to see more. I feel like, especially in the U.S., if they have brought a full version of Madden over, it would have performed well.
Right.
I mean, who doesn't want a full portable Madden?
Oh, right, for sure.
Come on. That would just be awesome. Especially, imagine us, like, how we have our leagues going?
Yeah.
We could actually do our online league and get this faster.
Right. Yeah, we can.
Yeah, because we both have it on Switch, and we could have our own screens to play on.
Right.
And, that'd be amazing.
That would be.
Well, what the hell?
Yeah, come on.
What are you doing, EA?
Yeah.
Madden.
Switch.
Okay, I mean, I'm
right now.
All right. So our final topic. Taylor Bone from our. By the way, Brandon Wheeler was is our $20 backer on Patreon. Taylor Bone is a $5 backer on Patreon. She has backed us for 3 straight months.
Nice. Thank you.
This is Brandon's second month. Hopefully, we can get him on a podcast here coming up.
Yeah.
Because I think this next podcast is the one that I'm going to be inviting our $20 backers to. Right. Because it's the one right before the holidays come up, and that's one I'm sure we're going to have to do. I don't
right.
Because it's just
that week in between the holidays is going to be
stuff. It's hard.
Interesting, yeah.
But here's where this is interesting: is that they want to know what we consider to be the biggest Switch success and failure in 2017. Well, what's the biggest success to you?
Just that it came out. I mean, honestly, that it exists. No, I think the game lineup is its biggest success.
Okay.
To me, the biggest success is the game lineup because, Breath of the Wild, Odyssey, new IPs like ARMS, and then the continuing of Splatoon, stuff like that. It is a damn good lineup.
I'm impressed that you. I was like, is he going to remember all the games that came out? Because you don't own most of them.
Yeah.
So I was just like, man, I know I've said it several times, but it's usually me bringing them up.
Yeah.
What's the big game that came out this month?
Oh, good God, Doom.
Nope.
Oh wait, that was last month, wasn't it?
And there was more than just Doom that came out.
Oh, I know there was.
L.A. Noire.
And then what the hell did we stand in line for?
Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2.
Yeah, what did we stand in line for again? That you got?
That was Odyssey. That was the last thing we stood in line for.
All right. Wow.
It's a game we already talked about in this podcast.
Oh, God.
Had the messed up trailer. It went too long.
Oh, jeez. Death Stranding? No.
Switch.
Oh, yeah. Xenoblade.
There we
go.
I'm like, I know he knows the games on Switch. Yes. It's just he didn't know it came out this month because he's not interested in it or he didn't buy it.
I didn't get it. It's not that I'm not interested in it. It's just I didn't get it.
Yeah. So
I'll play whatever game is. If I have a game in front of me, I'll play it at least a little bit. But it's not one of those that I have to go out and...
The game I don't understand that you don't have is Golf Story.
Right, actually, yeah.
I don't know why you don't have it. Yeah. It's right. You'd probably beat the game before I do. I play it only here and there because I'm playing all these big AAA games that are coming up. I'm like, dude, Golf Story, you would sit down and just play for a week and not be able to stop.
Right.
And
I might buy it.
I say that,
I'm probably
but then I thought
you'd
do that with Odyssey and you didn't.
Yes, so. I know.
And we know time restraints and
crazy busy. Working 2 jobs, working this, working that. Yeah.
We found time back at high school working jobs and being in choir and band and school. And...
Yes, but I was also less tired and less fat back then too. So, yeah. But yeah, that's my biggest success.
So my biggest success then, because I'm not going to go with lineup. The hardware.
Sorry
itself.
if I took yours.
No, hardware itself.
Yeah,
I have argued for years that games are not enough to sell a platform. Now, people are going to be like, whoa, what is it? Nintendo always said it takes that one great game. If you look at Nintendo's successful platforms, it was never just one great game. One, it was several great games. Consistent release. Sometimes consistent releases with third-party support. And the hardware itself being appealing.
Right. I'll give you that.
The NES was appealing... not just because of the cartridge. No one like blowing the cartridges and all that stuff.
Technically, you weren't supposed to do that.
No, but it worked. So people did it.
Right.
Yeah, you're supposed to take like isopropyl alcohol and rub it with a Q-tip, and then sometimes the Q-tip crap will get stuck in there, and you're like, "What the hell's the point?"
And then blow on it, blow on the Q-tip crap out.
The dang cartridge. Yeah. I've never broken a cartridge doing it. Maybe somebody has out there. I don't know.
Let us know if you have.
Yeah, I'm actually curious. Like, did you actually break a card blowing it? Yeah. How much is your lung capacity?
Right. That's impressive.
I used to blow pretty damn hard on those things.
I want to give you a handshake.
Yeah. Actually, I'm afraid. Can I just shake your breath?
Yeah, right. Right.
He's like going to blow me away.
Right.
No, I always felt that, yes, you need the games. The games are essential, but they are only half of the issue. You have to have the appealing hardware.
Right.
Wii U was not an appealing hardware.
Right.
3DS, I mean, I even argue 3DS really wasn't that appealing. I think 3DS had the whole glasses-free 3D thing really, really cool.
Yes.
I think people found out it was a gimmick pretty fast.
Mm-hmm. I had a 3DS. I think I turned it on for the first maybe 10 minutes. I
try out those AR games.
Yeah. That's about it.
And the thing is, it's cool.
It is.
It works.
Yeah.
It's technology that I don't understand how we haven't been able to translate it to movie theaters yet.
Right.
So we could stop wearing glasses. Like, I wear glasses. I don't want to put glasses on top of my glasses. That's the reason I don't like 3D movies. It's not because I don't think they're great. I saw Avatar in 3D. I didn't get the hype around it, but I'm like, if I didn't have to shove glasses on my face underneath it.
Well, and then you wouldn't get the 3D surcharge either, I'm guessing.
A $3 surcharge.
Yeah.
Well, or maybe you would. Maybe they have to change
all
all projectors or something to make it happen.
Maybe.
Or screens or something, I don't know. Because I don't know what they would have to do to make it work, because it works with the 3DS because of the camera in it and because of the screen.
Right.
But it's one of those things that, especially once 3DS XL came out, the new Nintendo 3DS XL, that fixed some of the issues it had with eye tracking. I had an issue with eye tracking where you would lose the 3D for a second and you'd have to readjust it to get just right. Where you didn't have to do that because the camera would track your eyes better. And that's fine. That made it more usable. And I'm sure there's plenty of you out there that love the 3D. I know that every time I've mentioned that it was a gimmick, people are like, it's not a gimmick. I love it. I'm like, but there's a reason no other platform, including Switch, does it.
Right.
Because it's not why people bought the system.
Right.
It was why people bought it at launch, because it won a technology award the year before when they unveiled it, because it's like, oh man, here's a mainstream item doing glasses-free 3D and it works.
Right.
And no one believed it worked until they tried, like, wow, this is impressive.
And then,
but then once you get past the novelty of the impressiveness, you realize, well, it's like you get past the novelty of the impressiveness and it's like, okay. So now how does this improve games?
Yeah, again? Right. Well, and that's the thing to me too. A lot of times with 3D movies, I don't see how much it enhances
I argue,
videos.
Here's the
movies.
thing. I argue that the AR on 3DS was really the precursor that allowed games like Pokemon Go to exist. And I'm not saying Pokemon Go is not even the first game by that company to use AR, but it introduced AR to the public, and then everyone who bought a 3DS at least tried out those AR cards.
Right.
And played the ball game and shooting your friends' faces and blah, blah.
Right.
It was fun.
Yeah.
And now that we have phones that can do that kind of stuff, it's like, okay. And now people just want to do it on their phones, and it makes sense.
Right.
In certain situations. But again, your phone isn't being advertised as an AR capable device. It just does it.
Right.
So the 3DS, like, if Switch had a back-facing camera on it, it could do it. So I think it's one of those things where 3D, it was a nice thing. Like, I feel like 3D has always been kind of cool, something you should experience, once or twice in your life, but it's not essential.
Right.
And that's why I don't think 3D was actually the big selling point of 3DS. I think it was just a more powerful DS that had Pokemon, Monster Hunter, and all the rest. The games primarily sold the platform more than anything else.
Yes.
And I know it feels crazy saying that it sold 70 million units, but again, it's not just that it's half of the units of the DS. It's the worst selling handheld of all time as well. No one wants to talk about it because 70 million worst selling, that sounds crazy.
Right.
And it is crazy, but that just shows you how popular handhelds have been. So it wasn't exactly the hit they probably were hoping it would be. Now, that being said, when they do have asymmetry of hardware and software, that's when Wii happens. Yep. That's when DS happens.
Right.
That's when the NES happens.
The SNES.
Game Boy happens.
GameCube.
Well, GameCube.
Yeah. Their hardware was amazing. Because, let's see, take a sledgehammer to it, still works?
Well, that's just Nintendo's quality and their build quality.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm not throwing shade at GameCube. I love GameCube.
Yeah.
But it had design issues that led to people leaving and not selling well. One,
people thought it was for kids because it looked like a lunchbox. 2 mini discs that couldn't fit the same amount of data and was hard to work with. That drove third-party companies away. Even though it was more powerful than the PlayStation 2, it didn't matter because it was just harder to put games on it. And the controller was great. That was about the only universal thing people praised. The GameCube controller was fantastic.
Yeah.
And it had some good games on it, but it didn't sell well. So, like, I look at, you have hardware appeal combined with games that match that hardware is how you get big success. And for me, the success of Switch this year, biggest success, is the hardware. From the moment they unveiled it back in October, wanted that damn thing. Forget the fact that Breath of the Wild was... I mean, Breath of the Wild I know was a big selling point for you.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh my God. Why hasn't this been in my life forever?
Right.
Why, since tablets existed, why have I not had a docked portable console? I understand why mobile tech wasn't there, blah, 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 but it's like, why? And I realized that, you know, they tried doing this with the X1 before, but because it wasn't a first-party studio, it's kind of like, yeah, do I really want to buy like this extra peripheral thing? You still have to stream PC games.
Right.
The hardware is just brilliant. It just works.
Oh, for sure. It does.
Like, people are like, oh, yeah, it works, but there's going to be like a 10-second delay switching screens. So there's going to be the Joy-Cons when you disconnect them, there's going to be some lag. And here's the thing. The Joy-Cons just always work wirelessly. Even when you slide them on the sides, it's still not a wired connection. It's still a wireless connection.
Right.
It's like they always work wirelessly. So it's actually the exact same connection.
Right.
And that doesn't mean there weren't issues. The left Joy-Con issue, the bowing of some systems, the scratching of the screens. Although we heard that I heard in the last live stream we did, the new docks coming out with Switches now have padding in them.
Oh, okay.
Can't confirm it myself. I'm waiting until 2018 to get either another Switch or a second dock just to see if it has the padding. Because I'll switch out mine then and maybe throw that one on the TV. I'm not going to use it on very much. Like maybe if I get my TV fixed out there, throw the TV out there, the 4K.
You know, in the whole like 10-second lag between switching screens, I'm surprised it's not longer.
But it's not 10 seconds.
No, I know. It's like instantaneously. I'm surprised it's not longer.
Yeah.
To be completely honest, I'm
like when people saw
not.
the ad, saw the little reveal thing, and the guy was playing Breath of the Wild, and he picked it up, and it was like that, and it's on the screen. I was like, that's an editing trick,
right?
Because at the time, we even found out after that came out, those people never actually played those games. It was an editing trick,
right?
They literally edited it in, so it was a trick. But then you do it, but that edit was perfect because that's how it works,
right?
They edited it perfectly,
right?
Put it in on the screen, take it off on your little screen.
Yeah, I'm surprised there's not more of a lag.
And it just makes sense. Like, they brought motion controls back somehow and didn't piss people off with it. Because it's not the main way to play. It's just an option that some games can use, but most aren't going to. Obviously, a lot of games have had motion control aspects in them, but it's, again, even Odyssey, that's actually a criticism some people have, is that the motion control should be there as an option, but a lot of these things you do with the hat, you should be able to map to buttons.
Right.
But whatever.
Right.
Again, we're not here to talk about that, but the success. The actual hardware design, and I guess I had to throw on top the marketing for it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I'm charged with the marketing of the hardware. Forget the games. The hardware marketing is brilliant.
Oh, yes,
and
definitely.
The name and everything else around
definitely.
it. Yep. Biggest failure for the Switch in 2017?
Stock.
Okay.
Has to be. Okay. I mean, for me, it's. I
mean, obviously, we both had a day one.
Yep.
Because we were smart enough to basically go wait for it the next day after it was announced. Knowing that we had no chance online.
Right.
So we're going to go in person to GameStop and make sure we're one of the first people.
Right.
But not everyone's like us. You have jobs. You don't have the ability to go at 10 a.m. the next day.
Yep.
So
for me, the biggest failure, and that's not necessarily even a Switch related failure. That's more of a Nintendo kind of.
Well, I mean, it is Switch related.
Yeah. Because
you could argue sales were limited all summer long because there wasn't enough stock.
Right.
You know, they're projecting 16.75 million or whatever for this fiscal year, and it's like, would have it been well over 20 million if they hadn't?
Right. And when I say Switch related, I mean like actual console.
Like
nothing wrong with the console.
Yeah.
It's for me, I'm kind of wondering if this was meant to be like what's wrong with like the console, what's wrong with the actual physical thing itself. But for me, the biggest thing was not having enough.
To me, the biggest failure of the Switch, and like, just to be clear, the Switch isn't a failure.
No, oh god, no.
But the biggest thing that bugs me about it, the biggest thing that is, I know a deterrent for some people, not a ton of people, but some. It's not feature complete. We're going to be approaching a year out. We still don't have the online system. The features that they have added for us to test out with the online app have been bad.
Yep.
No virtual console, no word on virtual console. Now Wii games are being made in HD for NVIDIA's Shield in China that uses the Tegra X1. So we have an announcement for a third party. I mean, I grant it's the same company who makes the Tegra and makes the Switch, but it's still a third party piece of hardware releasing in China that's going to have Wii games in HD, but no announcement for a Nintendo console, really. Right. That runs the exact same hardware. I mean, obviously it feels like that's a pending announcement, but why are we hearing about it for that before we hear about it for Switch?
Right. And I know somebody, even on YouTube, one of the comments was GameCube virtual console.
Yeah, like any virtual console period. And I almost was going to go with virtual console, but it's just the whole ecosystem in general is incomplete. That doesn't mean I don't like the eShop. The eShop's clean. I like how it functions. I think the UI is clean. I don't think there's a lot of things I have to complain about that because I like clean.
Right.
I like clean stuff.
And you just said they just brought on Hulu now? Or was it? Okay. They still don't have Netflix.
Still no Netflix, still no YouTube.
Right.
Still a web browser.
Right.
On a are you kidding me? No web browser.
Exactly.
Like, even if I didn't have Netflix and YouTube, I at least could watch it through a web browser.
Right. Yeah.
So it's... Hey, like I said, it frustrates me because these are ways I want to use my Switch that I can't. And I understand a lot of people's arguments, like especially with the video stuff with the web browser, they want to focus on games. Nintendo says they want to focus on games.
It's been almost a year.
I get that. But here's the these are we're talking bare bone basic features that aren't going to detract. I know some of you people say, oh, if it had Netflix, it would detract me. I'm like,
no.
I'm like, that's fine. It would detract you, but don't you have a billion ways to watch Netflix anyway?
Yes.
I don't know.
And that can also be a counter argument to
sure. It has been a counter argument. I don't need Netflix on it because I have it on everything else. I'm like, I get that. I understand.
But the option to have it on there,
yeah, and it's a tablet. It's not that it can't do it. It's just Nintendo doesn't have the system in place or isn't allowing it or what it may have. I don't know. All I know is that it's not. It was really strange to have this high end. Portable console product that cost a significant chunk of money come out in 2017 and lack basic functionality.
Right. And I understand, like for the first 3-4 months, if you wanted to keep it as they're focusing on games, yes, but we are almost a year out.
Yeah.
How do you not have these things? And the thing wasn't it uncovered within the first couple months that there is actually an internet browser on the system?
It has an internet browser.
It's just
already.
Not
public.
Yeah.
So there actually is an internet browser.
So why? I mean, it's there. Why not?
Discovered an NES emulator on there as well. It's like it is. As brilliant as the marketing is, brilliant as the system is, brilliant as the games have been, that's the part that makes the system feel rushed. They just got it out the door as fast as they could because Wii U was tanking that bad. And they just didn't want to wait. And they had the games lineup ready, so they're like, we have games ready. Let's just get this thing out there. We'll fix this stuff down the line. And obviously, it was a smart decision for them not to wait. But it's still one of those. Sure. It's still one of those things where it is. It's not a failure. It's more of a disappointment. And you gave me a tie into that a little bit. Some of the peripheral pricing, spending $90 for a plastic dock with a board in it when I could spend $20 for a third party thing that does the exact same thing, but just doesn't have the giant plastic dock part. Right. And I like the giant plastic dock, but that giant plastic dock isn't worth $60 extra.
And it's also it has a possibility of scratching your Switch.
And it doesn't even have, the OG docks do that. And then the weird thing, this is the one thing I find almost inexcusable about it, is the lack of an Ethernet port natively on there. They still want you to buy a dongle for that. Right. Why? I don't get that. We're in an age where internet speeds matter a lot for online gaming. Granted, I don't have an issue with it with Wi-Fi here, but some places do. It's just... It didn't seem well thought out in certain areas like that. The Pro Controller, I get it. I can justify that $70 price because of the tech in it. Right. But it's not about the ability to justify the price of it. It's more so the perception of the price. I think feels overpriced. The perception of Joy-Cons being $80. It's 2 controllers. You're paying $40 for each. But let's be real. When you're buying new Joy-Cons, you're buying them for yourself.
Right.
To use them at the exact same time. So to you, it's one controller.
Right. Yeah, you're not buying
one controller for $80 to you. Yeah. I understand it has all this additional functionality, but most people, it's a perception thing. They're not going to perceive it like that. So you should
I've gotten those down to even $60.
Right, and I think the one that I have the most or the least problem with is that Pro controller, because I mean you look at the other ones, they're $50. It's not $60. Sorry, it's not a stretch. It's not a stretch to see 70.
One other thing is like people are like, oh, the Xbox Elite controller. I'm like, that's a different one. Yes, it's a $150 controller, but it's, have you seen that thing? The ability to add extra flaps underneath for extra buttons, the all metal design, the ability to quick swap out. I mean, we're talking about functionality that's above and beyond, and design and steel and metal. Like, we're talking about something that's almost worth $150, at least at a premium level, and it's not the base controller anyways.
Right.
It's for the top level that are tired of burning through controllers.
Right.
Basically for people who are pro level gamers that are burning through their controllers a lot.
Their sticks.
They can replace the sticks. Buttons, they don't have to buy all new controllers, blah, blah, blah. Quick swap it any way you want. Maybe you want your D-pad up here and your stick down here. You can do that.
Yep.
That's what's nice. It's customizing. It's really nice. I like it.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that the Switch needs one, but I'm saying the Switch's base controllers, at least the Joy-Cons, should be $60.
Yeah.
The Pro controller, I feel like, should be $60 as well, just for perception reasons.
Right.
Not because it factually doesn't cost more to make. It probably does.
Yeah.
But now that the Switch is so successful, they should be able to just cut the $10 and cut the $20 off. Because they're making enough money now. It's no longer a concern of, is the Switch going to be a success? It is so far year one. So now let's cut back those prices on the peripherals. Let's make the dock $50.
Yeah.
You know, maybe don't cut it in half, $50. That feels fair.
Yeah.
That's right in line with some of the other bigger docks out there from the third parties. You do that, people complain less. And guess what happens when you knock the dock down $50?
Probably
the Switch only costs $250 instead of $300. Now you can charge $300 still and package in a game. Suddenly you're selling more units. On Black Friday, you can take out the game or knock it down to $250 next year. There's a path here, Nintendo. You just need to. Maybe it's because of manufacturing, you can't cut it down, but you need to find a way to cut it down. Because if third parties are releasing docks that are basically the same thing for cheaper, you need to find a way to match that.
Right.
I mean, you're never going to match the bottom end. Like, I have a little, it's plugged into my computer now, so I can't show it on camera. A little HDMI-C dongle to HDMI, and basically it's like the SwitchCon. And that little thing is like $30. Now, granted, it's different. You don't dock your system into it. It's a little, you can argue it's a little more of a hassle to use, and so it's more portable. That's the advantage of it. You just stick it in your pocket and go.
Right.
Although you still have to bring the power cord with them. But still, it is a lot more portable than the dock. But it's one of those situations where when that's happening, it's time to cut your price down. You don't need to meet the bottom end. Right. But you need to be at least firmly in the middle.
At least in line with what's going on.
Firmly in the middle there. You need to cut $40 off that price.
I understand if you're at the high end, because you start selling in the middle, some of these third parties are going to go, well, can we cut costs here?
Or some third parties are going to be like, oh, sell them for $50. Well, great. Now we have to sell the SwitchCon for $10. That's good for consumers too.
No, that's what I'm saying. Nintendo is always going to be on the high end.
Yeah.
Because the fact that third parties are always going to go, well, we can't have the original selling for less than us.
I see this as an opportunity for Nintendo. The only nice thing about these high prices is that there's no way in heck the dock is $90. And I know I actually defended the price of the dock at launch because there were similar HDMI-C dongles that were pretty expensive. But all of those had Ethernet ports. Without an Ethernet port, little tough. So I feel like at this point next year, that dock needs to be almost half the cost it is now. I feel like that's the biggest thing Nintendo has to lower the cost of this bad boy,
or add an Ethernet to keep price.
Well, even if they add an Ethernet port, it still should be cheaper. Charge $60, $70.
Yeah.
Like, find a way to make it cheaper, because it's even like they can't tell me this is all manufacturing. This has to be an upcharge.
Right.
So cut it down, not just for people who want to buy extra docks. Again,
it's probably
that feels like the thing they can cut the price on that would make the Switch cost cheaper.
Right.
And again, we don't know. Like, they charge $90 for an individual one. It doesn't mean that's the actual breakdown of the system itself when you buy it.
No, for sure.
It might only be $20 of that system.
Right.
And they're not charging you the $70 premium.
Right.
Everything else is about the hardware.
It might be that's the way they're making most of their profit, is because they're charging, the higher end on this, and they might be taking not taking a loss, but not taking as big of a profit on the actual systems themselves. So they're going to take a little bit more of a profit on the peripherals.
Yeah. I don't know. But again, this feels like, that all combined is like their biggest failure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, again, the Switch isn't failing. It's just they're clearly paths to getting better. And we've talked about this in the past. We talked about what should Switch do to be better by 2018. Might be a topic we need to revisit as we get to the end of 2018 or end of 2017 here because, hey, did they actually do any of this? Yeah. If they haven't, when should they do it in 2018? Blah, 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 blah. Lots to look forward to. In 2018 for Switch. We'll have to talk on that later. But that's going to do it for this week's episode.
Let us know what your biggest success and failures are too.
Yeah,
because always love hearing from you guys. So
yep, love it. Even when you hate on me.
Yeah, hate on me too. I don't. It ain't gonna bother me.
I love the hate sometimes. It fuels my passion.
Fuels the fire.
You can follow me on Twitter at NateJance. You can't follow him because he doesn't use Twitter, but you can follow at NintyPrime.
Yep.
I'm not going to convince him to use Twitter. So no, I was like, I can give you access to the account, but you're never going to use it.
Right.
One thing I should do,
I really should get a Twitter account.
I should set you up on Patreon though, so you can look at what people are saying on Patreon without having to come to my house.
Oh.
Like when people are commenting for the Q&A or for podcast topics.
Yeah.
And I think I can give you access on YouTube because now that I do the YouTube commentary thing, like you were reading the stuff here, you were interested in this because this is about what we do.
Yeah.
So being able to read that on your own would be nice.
Right.
So something I need to work on and get you set up with.
Yeah.
Do some research into because I know I can set up sub managers so you can actually access that stuff. So, again, because Eric did read a bunch of your comments today on your fan topics and everything, and again,
a lot of good topics. Sorry, we couldn't get to them all.
We can't fit everything in every podcast. Right. And if your topic never got chosen, you always bring it up again next week.
Well, and the reason why I kind of went with the ones I did is because we did kind of touch on some of the other ones that were brought up.
Yes.
And so I was kind of looking for, and we were going to talk about the Game Awards in the beginning, so I kind of just we were gonna make it just kind of a side topic. So I figured we might as well just
roller chair ball because we've been wanting to talk about that for years.
Right. So I kind of just made it into a full topic instead of just a side topic. That made it easy, and 3 people asked for it.
Yep.
So, and then, I mean, love reading the comments. And actually, I was reading the comments down. I got distracted by comments on what you could do to make Patreon a little bit
more enticing.
Enticing, yes.
Yeah, that's another thing. If you'd like to get access to this podcast early, check us out at patreon.com/Nintendo Prime. Gotta get that plug in. $5 a month. Gives you early access. $1 a month gives you the ability to submit a podcast topic that we will more than likely do unless it's something we have done before because we give priority to our Patreon backers topics over our YouTube commenters topics because you guys, the patrons, are the reason the show is every single week.
Right.
You guys made that happen. Thank you so much for your support.
Yes, thank you.
For $20 a month, you can also be on an episode of the podcast, assuming that our schedules can line up, of course, to make that happen. That's about it for that part of this podcast. I don't think we have anything else to talk. I mean, if you have fan topics, you can submit them in the comments on the video version of this, or you can wait until I put up the community post every week to submit your topic there as well. We will pick from either or. Right now, we haven't had a lot of fan topics submitted through the actual video because you guys are commenting on the actual podcast itself, which is great. You have to keep the comments coming, keep the support, keep the shares. I have some big things and some big announcements I want to make for 2018, but I'll wait till we get to the Nintendo Prime's first ever New Year's resolution video.
Oh boy,
it's gonna be rough like scruff my gruff.
Oh god.
On
that one, I think this one should end.
When you get to that point, scruff my gruff.
Yes.